12 and 15. Perfect. Yeah, just give us like a 10 count. We got you.
Welcome to Jim Perry Stadium here in Buies Creek, North Carolina. It's game 2 of a beautiful weather day in Buies Creek, North Carolina. UNC Asheville taking on the Campbell Fighting Camels, fresh off a convincing victory last night. 6 home runs offensively, plenty of offense between these two, the top 2 home run hitting teams in the league. And the Bulldogs try to get their bats going tonight in Cohalum with Brandon Langford, the Big South leader in home runs this season. What does he bring to the table at the plate?
He's a dangerous bat. He's a guy that's been hot year in, year out, and he comes in the ballpark. He hits home runs no matter where he is. And you talk about the weather being good today. It's a very dangerous day to have to pitch to Brandon Langford.
Langford with a home run last night, up to 12 big flies on the year. He takes on a Campbell slugger in Zach Neto, who has been outstanding at the plate. The freshman, 2 more home runs last night.
Neto's starting to figure it out. He's a young guy working through his first full season here, and he's just getting better. Right there, you see a ton of confidence in the celebration. He can hit the long ball. He can pitch and play defense, too. He's a heck of a player, so should be a fun matchup watching those two go at it offensively today.
Neto leads the Big South in batting average. He also leads the league in slugging, and he's a darn good defender as well at shortstop, getting his first start at short yesterday.
He's a great player. We've seen him all over the field. We've seen him at second base, first base, and I don't think it matters where they put him as long as he stays in that lineup.
Justin Hare challenging his freshman to move up into the 3 spot, and he is doing everything about right for the Camels today. Fresh off a Campbell victory last night, 19-1. Ryan Chassie, the ace of the staff, moves into the sophomore role into Game 2. How does Chassie repeat his success after the last outing, 6 innings, 2 runs allowed against Asheville?
Chassie's really good when he's in the zone early. He's a pitchability guy. He's not going to run you out of the ballpark with a ton of velocity, but he's going to mix his 3 pitches for strikes, and if he's able to get ahead, pitch backwards at times, he's going to find himself in a good position to be successful.
Ryan Chassie with a 4-2 record coming into this matchup. Looks to settle in against an Asheville lineup that scored just 1 run last night. Here's Ty Kaufman spraying one out of play. Kaufman, a unique player in this lineup for Coach Scott Friedholm. He's hit in 5 different spots in the order. Bat in the 4th spot last night, moves up to the leadoff spot. They like what he can bring at the plate. Chassie misses low to his catcher, Marcus Skundrich, here today. Ryan, in his last outing against UNC Asheville, had his team in front in Game 3 of the series, but the Bulldogs came storming back to take the game and win the weekend set. That's what's unique about this UNC Asheville team. 5 straight series wins, and yet in 3 of those weekends, they've been blown out by 10 or more runs in a game and have come back to win the weekend.
It just shows a lot of character about the team. Anytime you can come in, things don't go your way on a Friday night, you get blown out, etc., and you're able to come back and find a way to compete, it makes it tough on the opponent as well. They're coming in with a ton of confidence off a big win. So if you can answer back, especially in the first 3 or 4 innings, all of a sudden you're applying pressure back to the team that just blew you out the day before.
Here's the sophomore out of Apex on a payoff pitch. Kaufman goes the other way. There's Spencer Packard getting the start in right field today to make the catch.
And a good at bat there by Kaufman. It gets behind early but forces Chassie to re-enter the strike zone. A couple good breaking balls down, but in the end, he has to deliver the fastball over the heart of plate. And pretty sharply hit ball out there to Packard, and a nice job to track it down.
Packard had the start in left field today. He gets the start in right. And here's Scott Friedholm's lineup. Of course, Brandon Langford, a key piece. And this Asheville team, 27 home runs, a powerful unit at the plate.
They are. And teams that can leave the yard are typically subject to two avenues. They're either going to put up a ton of runs, and that's kind of what we've seen from Asheville. They're able to put up the long ball and score in a hurry, but home run hitting teams are also easier to shut out than scrappier ball clubs. So if they're able to find some sort of consistency there, look for them to play spoiler here down the road.
This UNC Asheville stretch, and we mentioned it last night, but it's worth noting, 5 straight series wins. This is the best stretch for UNC Asheville baseball in modern program history, and this is why the Bulldogs are within just 2 games of that 4th spot in the tournament.
They can hit, and we talk about the power in that lineup. Those are the teams that are dangerous. If they get hot, especially here, if they're able to continue down the stretch, there's no better time for a team to heat up. I can see them posing a problem to some of the top teams in the conference.
Here's Dominic Freeberger. He's a dual threat player hitting .315. He's a hitter by trade, recruited as a 2-way prospect, was Freeberger out of Baltimore, Maryland, but he came to the coaching staff and said, I prefer to hit. I love to be in the lineup, and that's my favorite thing to do. Well, he's proven it this year, 5 home runs and 23 RBI. Here's Chassie falling behind 3-1 and forces a foul ball.
And that's the pitch there that's going to make Chassie very successful. As we talked about, velocity's not anything extraordinary, but when you can throw a 3-1 changeup, take off about 8 to 10 miles an hour off your fastball right there, that enables him to even this count up, and now he's a good pitch away from getting an out.
Freeberger, second on this team in RBI, tries to kickstart an Asheville lineup that had just 1 run last night. Here's a ground ball to Waldy Arias on a hop. And a clean defensive pick by Matt Christian.
Nice job by Waldy over there, scooping it up. Fairly hard hit ball over to third base. And we know Waldy's got a heck of a glove on him. It usually tends to be the throws that can give him a little bit of a problem. Great scoop over there, toss it across, and also a nice pickup by Matthew Christian at first base.
So this is the 2nd straight game. You see Zach Neto at short and Arias at third. That was a coaching decision, moving Colin Wolfe to second base. How much of a confidence boost is that for Chassie to get some help from his defense?
It's great. He's a pitcher that's going to rely on balls put in play. He pitches to contact, especially early. He gets a ton of ground balls with the movement on his fastball. So that left side of the infield's been shored up, and they look good so far.
Ryan Chassie enters this ball game with an ERA of 4.15. And fools Langford for strike 2. Ryan Chassie telling us coming in he loves facing UNC Asheville. He's played 5 or 6 of these Asheville opponents growing up in Wake County, just outside of Raleigh. Sort of a homecoming matchup for Chassie, who looks to secure the series win for the Camels today. He did not face Langford growing up from Mooresville, North Carolina, but Brandon has been a fantastic hitter. Belted his 47th career home run last night. And now awaits the 1-2. One area of Langford's game that has truly developed from one year to the next is batting average. He sits right now at .360, and in 2019, he was about a .275 hitter, a huge jump from junior to senior year.
And that's something you can see in a power hitter. Guys that can hit the ball of the yard typically struggle with pitch selection, and they're also going to get pitched tougher than somebody that doesn't pose a home run threat. So being able to adjust to that is a big part of a power hitter, adjusting and really boosting that batting average instead of giving it bats away and chasing pitches out of the zone.
Langford works the count even here with 2 gone by. Both teams electing to use mop-up starters on Friday, short outings, and going with the top 2 starters in the rotation today for this doubleheader. As Chassie bears the load in game 2 and retires the Bulldogs in order. A strikeout of Langford ends the first.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, and we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Tired of cooking at home? Change it up without getting up. Just order Jersey Mike's through our app for no-contact delivery or no-contact at-the-door pickup. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
I'm crying 'cause I love you.
Pepsi Wild Cherry.
Tasha, did you know Geico could save you hundreds on car insurance and a whole lot more? So what are you waiting for? Hip-hop group tag team to help you plan dessert?
French vanilla, rocky road, chocolate peanut butter cookie dough. Scoop that is, scoop that is, scoop that is, scoop that is, scoop shakalaka, 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 shaka, scoop shakalaka, shakalaka, shakalaka.
Geico. Switch today and see all the ways you could save.
Look at UNC Asheville starter Jacob Edwards, the junior left-hander, gets the ball today. 47 innings for the High Point, North Carolina native, who has been the true ace of this staff. Coley threw 2/3 of an inning on Tuesday to gear up for this weekend set. How is his style of pitching going to be able to slow down the hottest hitting team in the Big South that comes in at a .309 batting average?
I think he matches up well with this Campbell offense. Campbell tends to struggle with mid to softer left-handed hitters, and if he's able to establish breaking ball early and throw fastball off of it, I think he could pose a pretty dangerous matchup for Campbell.
Bryce Arnold kickstarts the attack for the Camels up top. In a rare outing for Arnold last night, 0 for 4 at the plate, so it ended his impressive 10-game hit streak. And now the freshman kickstarts a Campbell offense. We showed you coming in a .309 team batting average. As Arnold watches strike one. That sits 10th best in the country, chasing San Diego, the Toreros, for the best batting team. And Cole, this top 6 in the order may be one of the best units in the country.
They are, and they've continued to get better throughout the year as a team that we saw be very streaky early, but they've seemed to figure it out here in the middle of the season.
Here's Brandon Langford with a quick ground ball out. As Arnold is retired. And to your point about Jacob Edwards, his greatest attribute, according to Coach Scott Friedel, is a strike thrower, something Asheville will need tonight.
They definitely do. Campbell offense can be very patient, so if he's able to pitch in the strike zone, we know Campbell does not hit the left-handed pitchers quite as well as the right-hander, so if he's able to compete in the zone and mix speeds, I think it should be a tough matchup.
To your point, this Campbell offense hitting .292 against left-handers, hitting a robust .310 against right-handed pitching. Here's Connor Denning, who has the luxury of hitting from both sides. He had hits on each side of the plate last night, finishing out with a 2 for 4 effort and 3 RBI. Edwards' fastball nibbles inside. Campbell last night, 6 home runs at the plate, including Connor Denning blasting his 9th. That was the most home runs for a Campbell offense since 2018. Edwards crosses up Denning, and he does not go around, says Jeff Francis over there at first. Among the many players Campbell has in this order, putting in a bid for Player of the Year in the conference, Connor Denning is right up there. Top 5 in hits, on-base percentage, and slugging. He's out in front this time.
He's been incredibly consistent, too, throughout the years. It's a guy that hasn't strayed too far from the lineup. You know, game here, maybe, but he's been in center field, and he's been pretty much a staple for this offense in the top 4, top 5 spots. And there's something to be said for that consistency of being able to go out there and put up numbers every game.
Here's Jacob Edwards on 2-2. That pitch misses high at 88 miles an hour. Edwards, the son of a pitching coach. His dad's at UNC Greensboro. Under-recruited left-hander who has been a nice piece for Scott Friedholm here in his 3rd season. As Denning fouls it off. Jacob Edwards, when these teams met on March 20th, 3 1/3 innings. Just gave up 2 runs as Asheville won that game against Ryan Chassie in a similar meeting. And Asheville took the series up in Asheville, North Carolina. And Denning gets a piece of Doug Clemens behind the plate. Fresh off a 19-run output last night. Campbell back to work here in the first as Denning awaits the payoff. He takes ball 4.
Really nice at bat there by Denning. Got challenged, saw most of Jacob Edwards' pitches, and Edwards ended up going with a steady slider on the inside corner that Denning fought off, finally earned his fastball off the plate. Really a hard-earned walk right there. Great way to start out his day.
150 walks now for Campbell in what is 34 games. That's second best in the country. And this opens the door for the hottest hitter in the league, hottest hitter in the country in Zach Neto, who, Cole, was your midseason pick for Big South Player. They don't give you some credit. You've been on with this selection.
I saw it coming. He continued to get better, and he's still getting better. He continues to evolve his game and just grow his mental state as a hitter, and he's really blossoming right in front of us. And I think at this point, probably in my opinion, clear-cut favorite, just for all the versatility he brings and also able to compete on the mound.
To your point, Neto ranks first in the Big South in batting average, slugging, and on-base percentage. Just a freshman. Now he tries to bunt. That attracts the attention of Langford. The miss is low. Justin Harris told us with Zach Neto, every challenge he puts in front of this freshman infielder, he has responded and played better than what they expected, and that's starting to play out right here.
It is. I love the move to square around and bunt. See if you can draw Langford in. That step may be huge for sneaking a ball through the 6-hole.
This could be a tailor-made double play. Instead, a throwing error from the shortstop. Abrams extends the inning.
That's a tough one for Edwards there. Does a great job of getting the ground ball from Neto. Tailor-made double play off the bat. Abrams is going to have to make a better throw. If you're trying to compete and sneak back into this conference race, you got to have every double play.
We saw Abrams there discussing with the third base umpire, Mike Mazza, of some interference on the slide. Was there anything you noticed?
I thought it was a hard slide, a clean slide. It's your job as a shortstop, especially on a hard hit ball. You have time to clear your feet. The slide looked clean. I love aggressive baseball, but I guess we're gonna see what they saw.
The umpires all converging here to check this call, with Doug Clemens being the lead umpire today. Because exactly, if Denning is ruled to interfere, he would be out. So here's the angle we have, just to give you a sense at home.
It's just a bad throw.
Seems relatively clean.
That's a clean slide. That's how you draw it up, straight into the bag, not over it.
There was no intention to slide the foot up and interfere with the throw at all?
It wasn't a late slide. It wasn't an early slide. I thought should be relatively cut and dry.
It wasn't a slip and slide with some water on the hose in the backyard. It was relatively clean. Here's Scott Friedholm pitching his case in year 7. And he mentioned to us coming into the week how this 5-week stretch for Asheville has put the team on the map and given Asheville a chance to compete in the Big South, something that has not been done in almost 7 years.
They are competing, and I think every game that they continue to win just builds the confidence in the program. And you know, as they continue to build, they'll get better recruits, and the way that they're being coached and they're performing on the field, I expect them to be a force in years to come.
We have a coach's challenge ensued, so we'll step aside, let you see the angles, and come back with a decision here on this slide play at second base. was that, sir? Perfect. Let us know when we're back live. So a decision has been made. The runner at second is out and no interference called. Sort of what we thought off the top. But you do have, as a coach, 2 challenges to use early in the game and maybe a momentum opportunity there for UNC Asheville.
Not a bad option. You do spend one early, but I didn't necessarily see enough there to warrant a challenge. I think it was correctly called.
As the ruling states, 2 challenges in the first 7 innings. Then it's umpire decision from the 8th inning on. If you win your challenges, you keep them, sort of like in the National Football League. So something to keep an eye on for Asheville, 1 challenge remain. Here's Spencer Packard, who has been driving baseballs at a premium as of late, including a home run last night that hit the scoreboard in the middle innings. That was a 9-run 5th for the Campbell attack, raising his average up to 375. Jacob Edwards did his part to force the double play ball. Now he faces a Campbell lineup with 2 outs and surrenders a foul ball.
And you do get the challenge. You start to understand it a little bit more when you look at who's hitting. When you have Spencer Packard coming up and you have a chance to end an inning and have him lead off with nobody on, you do understand the situation and sort of what the coaching staff was going for with the challenge.
Zach Neto had his 10th stolen base last night, which, as you'd imagine, puts him in the top 5 in the Big South. Always a threat to steal over there at first base. Edwards should have been out of the first inning. Now he faces Packard. All of a sudden, Cole, this is 15 pitches and counting for Edwards, who not only should be out of this game, this should be right on the bats of Asheville to go back to the plate.
You're exactly right, and games start to get expensive. Errors start to get expensive the more pitches that Edwards has to throw, especially here early in the game.
Neto has always been known with an aggressive lead, forcing the hand of Edwards, who misses inside. So now it starts to snowball, right? Because you're focusing on a runner. The inning should be over. You're facing a dangerous hitter who leads the league in walks, with Colin Wolfe, the preseason player of the year, next.
You can get in trouble in a hurry. That's the problem with really both of these teams having the power threat. With runners on, you need to take care of business. Otherwise, they can get out of hand in a hurry.
There's a walk to Spencer Packard. And all of a sudden, Jacob Edwards' duties have really picked up in this inning. It's not as if it gets much easier. That's the 25th walk of the season for Packard. And it leads it off to Colin Wolfe, who not only hit a home run last night, he was 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored.
And he's starting to see the ball a lot better. We saw the struggles early with him and kind of talked about his batting average historically. We know it will come up. We know he'll get hot. He's starting to see the ball a lot better, but you can't help but wonder, does the delay with the challenge start to throw off Edwards' comfort on the mound? But he seems to be just a bit out of sorts. Ball's up in the zone, and that's going to be typical of a pitcher who takes a longer break.
All of a sudden, 2 on with 2 outs. And an Asheville pitching staff that did not get quality starts yesterday needs big innings out of Jacob Edwards and Cole Harris, the Game 3 starter, facing a Campbell offense that is prolific in this ballpark, averaging 8 runs a game. In fact, only 5 teams in the country better at scoring at their home ballpark. Mississippi State leads the country at 11 runs a night. Oxford, Mississippi, always a tough place to play. And Jim Perry Stadium is becoming, for Big South pitchers, a nightmare scenario to come and visit.
It's tough to play here, especially if you're pitching to some really powerful right-handed hitters. We know the ball can get out to left field in a hurry. And if you're playing in the daytime, the ball's also going to carry. So really your best chance in Jim Perry Stadium, pitch at night, give up deep balls to right field. It doesn't travel quite as well that way, but this Campbell offense has a ton of power. It's no fun place to come and pitch.
To your point, 24 home runs in 20 home games this year. A brutal lineup with Wolfe sitting on a 2-1 count. Edwards has not even been close since the coach's challenge and is in danger of walking the bases loaded.
And on a doubleheader day, there's so many more consequences to giving up runs early and spending pitches early. There's 18 innings worth of baseball to be played, and what kind of quality arms do you have in your bullpen? Are they ready? Are they feeling good? You never know quite what you're going to get from some of those guys, and these days can get really long in a hurry if you dig into the bullpen.
Wolf watches ball 4, and that loads the bases for the Grand Slam king of the Big South Conference, and Matthew Christian.
This is no fun position for Edwards. He's a little bit out of sorts. The fastball and the slider tend to be missing up in the zone, and to Matthew Christian, that's not a miss you want to have.
Here comes a quick meeting on the mound for UNC Asheville. And I tell you, you start to feel bad for Jacob Edwards, who literally induced a perfect double play off the hottest hitter in the league. How do you bounce back as a pitcher from the mindset standpoint to start throwing strikes?
You gotta compete. You have to get the element of fear out of your head. He knows, every pitcher knows, you're one pitch away at this point from being down 4-0. You have to get it out of your head and just pitch. And you can't pitch in fear. You just got to throw your best pitches and deal with the consequences at this point. Some of it self-induced, some of it a little bit outside of your control. But as a starting pitcher, you can't start walking guys in and giving one of the better teams in the conference free runs.
Matt Christian would love to collect a couple free ones here in the first. Already 2 grand slams on his tally this year as he misses for strike 1. In fact, Christian with the bases loaded, hitting .625 in these spots.
He hits well in big situations. Most hitters that are, especially good hitters, should hit better. Pitchers are in high leverage situations. Typically, you'll get more mistakes, and when he capitalizes, he gets all of it.
Great breaking ball from Edwards, and it's 0-2. Jacob Edwards is coming off his best start at UNC Asheville. 7 innings of 1-run ball against Charleston Southern, helping the Bulldogs come back after dropping game 1 to win the series. Now he squares off with Matt Christian. So here Edwards sits at 26 pitches. That would have been an 11-pitch inning if the double play ball ensues. This changes the whole game.
It does, and he's still able to get some momentum back if he can squeeze out of this inning without giving anything up. But his body's going to feel it. It's a warmer day, sun's out. You're going to fatigue a lot faster.
This bouncing ball is trouble. Here comes Neto to the plate, and an unearned run puts Campbell in front.
And a pitch there from Edwards. It's the right idea. I agree with the off-speed pitch down in the zone. Christian's susceptible to the strikeout, but right there, Lucas not able to block it up and keep it in front. And you have an aggressive base-running team in Campbell. Neto gets a great jump off the ball passing by, and with his speed, really no play there at home plate.
Come on, Matty.
Zach Neto, your MVP discussion, scoring a run on a throwing error. Now Christian goes down swinging. 1 pitch later, Edwards escapes the jam as it's Campbell taking the early lead here in the first.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, and we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Did you know that Geico's whole 15 minutes thing, that came from me? Really? My first idea was, in 1/4 of an hour, your savings will tower over you, figuratively speaking. But that's not catchy, is it? That's not going to swim about in your brain. So I thought, what about 15 minutes, 15%? Serendipity.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Whether it's the practice field or weight room, in class or on game day, we compete down here. We put in work, day in and day out, to take a step forward towards degrees, championships. Our goals? Excellence on every level. 11 schools, more than 4,000 student athletes, one attitude. We are the Big South, where winners are made.
Taking a look at Scott Friedholm, the head coach of UNC Asheville. He was telling us entering this weekend, if UNC Asheville can win this series. A chance to not only make a huge step as a program to prove they can compete with 6 straight series wins.
I think they're on the verge of showing that already, the quality of baseball that they're playing. I think they've proven they can play spoiler, but they can also sneak up in the bottom end of the conference tournament rankings. And they've just done a great job of developing the young men in their program, and they're competing night in and night out. And with, like we've mentioned, with the power, they can compete with anybody on any given day.
How about this? Sebastian Dunn, who has 0 home runs this year, slides up into the 4 spot. Coach Friedholm has gone with his top 3 hitters, Kaufman, Freeberger, and Langford, to begin this game. And now it's Dunn down 0-2. This fly ball could be trouble into left. And there's Lawson Harrell.
Nice job by Chassie, going back with the changeup there, forcing the weak contact, and you see a great jump off the bat on a ball I think we both initially thought could have been trouble, but a great read in left field by Lawson Harrell. Great job tracking it down.
Ryan Chassie inducing weak contact. 4 outs recorded early in this game, including a strikeout of Brandon Langford, the top home run threat in the conference. How about that swing and a miss from Will Barber? The changeup from Chassie has been electric today.
That's the pitch that he either has or doesn't have. Usually he's got the fastball, breaking ball to some extent. If he has the changeup, he's dangerous. That enables him to have a great weapon to get right-handed hitters out.
Scott Friedholm telling us, while his team defeated Ryan Chassie, his offense did not. Chassie was 6 innings of 1-run ball. The bullpen won the game, but he was very impressed with what the sophomore can do.
Just the way he's able to work through a baseball game and evolve and pitch hitters in different situations differently. The offense is just never really able to settle in off him. And right there, big breaking ball. He's settling in. His weapons are all working today. This could be a game where we see him pitch very deep.
Ryan Chassie searching to bounce back after 3 straight non-quality starts. He's off to a fantastic beginning today. All eyes on Ryan Chassie taking on Wade Chandler. And how about this? 2 high school teammates from Middle Creek High School and Apex meeting. There is emotions, nerves, all those things going through the minds of Chassie, who's trying to keep himself relaxed.
This is a ton of fun for baseball players, really athletes in general. When you're able to compete against a childhood friend, you know, a guy that you grew up playing baseball with, it's personal. And we're right here in the middle of a very personal series with conference. But this matchup right here should be a ton of fun for him. We should see the best that they both have.
Wade Chandler and Ryan Chassie spent all 4 years together at Middle Creek High School. The Mustangs about 30 minutes up the road. And I tell you, if that timeout was not intentional, both a chance to settle the nerves a little bit, this is quite a neat matchup. And first pitch breaking ball is taken by Chandler. How much familiarity does that play in the mind of a hitter as well? Because you don't want to psych yourself out with overthinking a certain pitch.
I think you have to pay attention to the homework to some extent, but also you have to understand that players have both evolved, and both of these guys have gone their separate ways, and they've learned and they've evolved as a hitter and a pitcher, and so you understand what they're comfortable with, but I don't understand who the advantage goes to. They should both be feeling very confident because they're so familiar.
Ryan Chassie's retired his first 5. Now he faces his former teammate, falls behind 3-0.
And you spoke about stepping off, trying to settle the nerves a little bit. It looks like this is the most sporadic we've seen Chassie on the day. His fastball has not been up in the zone. It's been very controlled. And right here, it looks like he might just be reaching back for a bit extra, trying to prove a point.
Wade Chandler, a first full-year starter, has grown in this lineup. 16th career start, hitting .360. And watches strike 1. Chassie, in fact, was the first to tell us he was so excited for Chandler, who had come off the bench the last 2 years largely, in the lineup full-time this season. But he said and reminded us, I don't want to let that continue today.
I get it. That's a competitor at his best. I want him to be successful, just not against me. And right there, I think, Chassie got the better of himself a little bit during that at-bat. That's a little uncharacteristic for him.
So a 2-out walk for Wade Chandler, the first man to reach base against Chassie. And now Cole Abrams, who also grew up a high school competitor with Chassie out of Cary, North Carolina. It is neat, the diversity of these rosters. UNC Asheville with 8 players from Wake County, just outside of Raleigh. And a lot of these kids played travel ball and youth teams against each other. It's certainly a fun matchup to watch.
It is. It's a ton of fun at this level, but it's also fun to look kind of at the area and see the quality of baseball that's being played around here. And anytime you have that many players going to colleges and competing against each other, the stories grow, and it's really a great experience for all these guys to get together and talk about.
Skundred shows off the cannon and nearly launched it into right field. All of a sudden, if you're Ryan Chassie, a challenge to settle into this start after he was cruising in the first 5 hitters. Here's Cole Abrams with a 1-1 count. I think our camera kids even knew a pickoff was coming that time. They were sitting on it before that pitch. If you're Chassie, do you purposely throw one a little low and towards the body of Chandler just to keep him honest over there?
I think he should just focus up right here, be quick to home plate, and try to induce that ground ball double play, or the ground ball to the short way, get out of the inning, and all of a sudden all your problems go away. You get away with a walk to a good friend of yours, and you can go back, sit in the dugout, and see if your offense can go back to work.
Cole Abrams checks his swing. That is called ball 3. Abrams, who has not gotten a hit all season with 2 outs this year, tries to extend a all of a sudden tumultuous inning for Chassie. Sometimes as a competitor, that mindset just slips a little bit when you face your former buddies. Now trying to settle in. That's 2 straight walks to extend the second.
Chassie did look better though this last at bat. Early on, he reached back, trying to do a little bit extra. That's going to cause the misses up. With this last one, the misses were all down in the zone. He's starting to channel it back in and understand that his best stuff is best done when it's not overserved. And he does miss. He gives up another walk, compounds it a little bit if it hits given up. But he did look better as far as reestablishing the strike zone.
Ryan Chassie sits at 34 pitches, and a bit of trouble here as MJ Lucas, the catcher, digs in. There's strike 1, and it's interesting, all of a sudden a non-former teammate finds the zone on the outside corner.
And one of the better pitches he's thrown all day, fastball on the outside black for strike 1. That's the best pitch that Chassie can execute.
Even though that pitch missed, you are starting to see a more calmed down and relaxed Chassie on the hill.
And really a quality pitch. It does miss, but it's a curveball, that starts as a strike. It was really a quality pitch, just a better take by Lucas.
MJ Lucas, 4 home runs at the bottom of this lineup for Asheville. That ranks 2nd in the league in home runs. Of course, Langford does almost 50% of that damage. Yet the Bulldogs try to take advantage of a walked-filled inning. After Chassie retired 5 straight, he's faced some trouble here with 2 outs. And escapes? No, he does not escape the threat. He escapes the zone to even the count.
That's a close call right there. It looks like he may have missed just a tick high on the breaking ball, but either way, that's a close pitch. Really another good take from Lucas. He must be seeing the ball well off the left-hander Chassie.
MJ Lucas searches to extend the inning. He does so with a base hit to left. That scores the first run of the game for UNC Asheville as Wade Chandler scores, and the Bulldogs strike with a 2-out double.
We've seen walks now come around to hurt both of these teams. Free passes are going to kill you, especially in conference play. 2 teams that want to get after each other, but what an at-bat by Lucas there, fighting it out. A ton of good takes to earn something he could do damage with, and finally gets that fastball out over the plate and converts with the RBI double.
Just the 2nd double of the year for Lucas, and a huge spark for Asheville that has found a slight chink in Ryan Chassie, who was brilliant up to this point. Now it's Grayson Pressler, the left fielder, who goes after the first pitch. This might end the inning. The Bermuda Triangle of Campbell players leads to Spencer Packard making the catch. Asheville ties it on a 2-out double by M.J. Lucas.
There's not a secret to what actually happens behind the scenes at a bank. Here at First Citizens, we're trying to educate the client in each step of what's actually going to happen and actually have them make the educated decision around what steps and what options they utilize. We want to become that trusted advisor that actually guides them down that road, helping you reach your goals. That's Forever First.
Tired of cooking at home? Change it up without getting up. Just order Jersey Mike's through our app for no contact delivery or no contact at the door pickup. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
I'm crying 'cause I love you.
Pepsi Wild Cherry.
The doctor said I had prostate cancer. I needed to do something. I said, can I go to proton therapy? Hampton University Proton Therapy Institute. He said, yeah, you can do it, man. It's a breeze, man. When I went for the treatments, there were no side effects. Whatever you could do before, you could do it after. Thank you, Jesus. I'm so glad I can go down there. But I tell you right now, I wanted to let those people know that I really appreciate it. Man, HU is his spot. This is Cindy. When you call her up, she's so nice on the phone. This is Jen. This is Ashley.
Head coach Justin Hare sports the best offense in the Big South Conference. He was talking to us this week and saying, if this team's going to make a run, not only has to be offensively, but the pitching and defense must improve.
And he's exactly right. We've seen streaks of all three be really hot and really productive. They just haven't found a way to necessarily put all three together, but it looks like they're starting to find some better chemistry here as the season wears on. And if they're able to keep producing that on a night in and night out basis, I think they will pose a threat in the postseason.
Lawson Harrell begins the bottom of the second for a Campbell offense that only hits .310 on the year. They have been extremely productive in early innings. We saw a run in the first on a wild pitch. Scored 7 runs in the first 3 innings last night, and Harrell sprays one out of play. The huge question many have had about Campbell is outside of that top 6, where is the production coming from? And Harrell could be a huge piece in that.
He is, and he's a guy that we didn't see a ton of early on in the season, but a guy that worked his way into the lineup, really grinded his way through the first couple weeks, weekends, earned himself that starting spot, and he's been a very good cog in this lineup.
Harrell currently at .275 at the plate in his 19th start. The freshman awaits the 1-2 from Jacob Edwards. Edwards today with 2 strikes has not been very accurate, extending his outing. He's at 30 pitches. We'll see if that plays a factor as this game goes on.
It's a great point, though. Even when he's gotten to 2 strikes and he has somewhat executed, just hasn't been able to put guys away either.
Harrell sprays away the 2-2. There is something to be said in these doubleheaders about durability of starting pitchers, and Edwards in his last outing was just that. 7 innings, 115 pitches. He'll need to tap into that arm here today against the best offense in the Big South. Just called outside. That pitch has got to be partly on the catcher, Lucas, how he sets up there, correct?
I believe so. It does throw the umpire off when you miss the target by a little bit, but it looked pretty good from here. Really a tough take up there.
That one clearly inside, and a leadoff walk for Harrell. This is a fascinating series for many reasons. Asheville has struggled in a pitching standpoint at above 7 ERA. Although Edwards has been the most consistent arm for Asheville, the High Point native. What must he do to settle in these middle innings?
He's got to start getting ahead. He's a guy, very similar to Chassie in stuff. It's not going to pose a big strikeout threat. He's not going to blow it by guys, but he needs to get in the zone and reestablish that strike zone early, and I think he'll find himself in pretty good shape.
Here's Marcus Skundrich, the Campbell catcher, taking ball 1. 12th start of the year for Skundrich, 6 hits and 6 runs scored. Part of now a trio of platooning catchers. Campbell saw Ryan Parquette return from a shoulder injury last night to complement Ty Babin, the 3rd catcher in the rotation. It's interesting with all three catchers. Justin here laid out what he likes about each. Parquet with the power, the productivity at the plate. Skundrich, the arm and the ability to gun out runners. And Babin, the defensive game he brings behind the plate.
And I think it's a blessing for a coach. Anytime you have three guys you feel confident putting back there. None of them have taken the job from the other two, but that's also in large part to the other two refusing to give it up.
Runner is off for second, and a stolen base by Lawson Harrell. Something I want to bring up too, Cole, that swing from Skundrich might have saved Harrell just a second as well.
Swing throughs do always, they continue to bother catchers, and right here you'll see Lawson Harrell gets a pretty good jump, also has good speed, but I think you're exactly right. That swing will hold the catcher Lucas from coming through a whole lot sooner than if he takes.
62nd stolen base of the year for Campbell. As Edwards goes to a breaking ball, and Skundrich went around with a bunt. That's a huge out, number one.
It is. It's always risky bunting with two strikes, and right there he looked fairly uncomfortable in doing such, but I think if he had got it down, Langford was playing back. It's a good idea, just high risk, high reward style play.
Here's the on-base percentage master of disaster, Waldy Arias. His average not prolific at 230. He's getting onto that nice clip, doubling that rate. A 460 on-base percentage. That takes a lot as a hitter to overcome a low average.
Well, I love the move to move him down to the 9 spot. We saw him at the top of the lineup to start out the year, but the 9 spot is fairly simple. Find a way to turn the lineup over, and in getting on base as much as he does, which is truly impressive at batting 230 or so on the year, being able to get on at twice as high of a clip really gives the top of the order a chance to come up with runners on and execute their offense.
Arias swings through a fastball following a 2-for-4 night with 2 RBI. Waldy had reached base in 22 straight games to start the year. That was at the top of the lineup. The bat has responded here in the bottom half as well. Here's Edwards on 1-1, and time is called.
I live in North Carolina, so I don't know what's going on.
Jacob Edwards trying to shake down a Campbell offense that scores 9 runs a game. Threatening in the second, and Arias jumps ahead. If there's any team that has held Waldy in check, and I say that in air quotes, it is UNC Asheville. Just 2 for 16 on his season. Yet his reach base 40% of the time with 5 hit by pitches and 4 walks. It's incredible.
That's what he does. He's just such a grindy player. We see him over there at third base, find a way to make plays. He finds a way to hang in at bats and spend a lot of pitches. And Coach Harry loves that about him. That's what keeps him in this lineup. It's not his hit ability. He's a really average hitter, pretty good hitter for the 9-hole, but his ability to grind pitchers out and find his way on base is a difference maker for Waldy.
Edwards on 2-2. Here's weak contact to short. Barehanded drop by Abrams. All forced by the speed of Arias at the plate.
That's just continues to show his grind. He gets weak contact, but he burns it out of the box, forcing it to be a bang play for Cole Adams at short, or Abrams at short. And I don't know that he had to go barehand there, but I understand the urgency of trying to make a play.
Waldy Arias is the grindhouse at the plate. By the way, there's a great coffee shop in town called the Grind Coffee House and Creamery, just 5 minutes down the road in Benson. They might want to talk to Arias about a possible sponsorship deal when name, image, and likeness becomes more of a common thing in college sports.
It's fitting.
I don't want to put money in people's pockets that I don't have, but just a thought. As Arias reaches base for the 4th time in the series. This ball gets away from Freiberger, gifting a run for the Camels.
That's a little bit more tough luck there for Jacob Edwards. Not his best move, more of a show-me pick move there with a softer throw. Really just a lapse in attention over there by Freiberger. The ball squeaks by, and we've now got a runner in scoring position for Campbell, and another run, possibly an unearned run sneaking in to score for Campbell.
Both runs unearned today. I know Edwards' first run was a victim of a wild pitch and a defensive mistake. That's a self-induced mistake. And all of a sudden for Edwards, who's been a strike thrower all year, some uncharacteristic mistakes in this matchup.
A lot of that is just the stakes and the pressure that Campbell has applied in reigning dominant through this conference the past few years. It's a different feel when you come into the stadium and you understand who you're playing, and a couple of uncharacteristic mistakes from the defense as well put even more pressure on Edwards. And now he's found himself in a tough spot. He's allowed Campbell to answer back here in the bottom of the second and regain the lead. And if they're able to post a 0, Asheville's got a chance to put some pressure right back on the Campbell Camels.
There's Bryce Arnold, top of this lineup. He's 0 for 1 tonight. Arnold does not miss this pitch. Driven out deep to left field. Pressler gives chase, and that's off the wall. Arias sprints around third, and the RBI double makes it 3-1.
And a big swing there from Arnold off the bat. You know this ball is trouble. He's so disciplined. He works his way through his progressions and gets his fastball. And as you see, this fastball is right out over the heart of the plate. He doesn't miss an ounce of it. Really misses a home run by just a foot or so, but picks up the RBI double in the process and passes the torch to the next guy.
Bryce Arnold has done about everything right since entering the lineup back in March. His 6th double of the season. And the pressure now on Jacob Edwards, who has surrendered 2 runs in this inning. Now he faces, we talked about the Bermuda Triangle before. This is Earth, Wind, and Fire at the plate. Connor Denning, he brings the pop with a 356 average. Neto is like Avatar, can do everything out there. And Spencer Packard is the fire, can drive a baseball out of the park.
I like it.
Oh, I forgot. Like You're not the pop culture guy. I have the wrong analyst for my pop culture experts. I apologize. Here in the second inning, along with Cole Hallam, I'm Evan Budrovich with you for Game 2 of this series. And the breaking ball catches the corner for strike 2. Would like more of a peanut butter jelly reference work for you?
I can get
because Neto's the jam you can spread around the ballpark, and he just makes it fit.
Yeah, I like either analogy there. I think they both work.
Denning walked back to the first, now tries to cash in. Arnold over at second. All of a sudden, Jacob Edwards has surpassed 50 pitches in this game, partly due to his own mistakes. Now a tough task to get through this lineup the second time around.
And I think at this point you have to essentially give up on trying to manage pitch count and pitch deep into this game. It's more, can we keep this game at bay until my pitch count is up and the bullpen's going to come in and finish this thing up.
Arnold sprints for third. Denning slashes one up the middle. Here comes Arnold to the plate, and a nifty swing by Denning extends the lead.
Really a nice piece of hitting, able to get his hands inside the ball there. We saw Arnold on the move. And we have an appeal over at third base as well, saying that Arnold missed the bag.
There's the base hit from Denning, adding on to his 26th RBI. And Cole, that's a great question. There was an awkward turn at third base. Did Bryce Arnold touch the bag on his way home?
I couldn't personally tell from this angle. He was definitely stealing. You had the line drive off the bat at Denning, which caused some confusion of whether he needed to hold or continue running, and it was definitely an awkward turn. I think we're going to get to see a better look at it here.
Umpires will take a look. We'll show you all those angles if Arnold touched third base.
isn't. This is not my place. So I can't really sing you like a picture. I don't have it.
Might be on Facebook.
Just say stand. Oh, he's out?
So Bryce Arnold has been called out at third base for missing the bag. It's a tough angle to tell on that third base side. And now this changes the complexion of this inning. There's 2 outs.
Definitely changes the complexion, and maybe the break that Jacob Edwards needed out there on the mound could have led to another run, but you kind of flip the script there, get the appeal to go your way, and now with 2 outs, he's able to get out of this thing without giving up too much damage if he can get Neto.
It was interesting. Mike Mazza was right on top of the base looking down at Arnold on the initial play, but the camera angle gave him enough perspective to call Arnold out. Here's Zach Neto with 2 gone by. And takes strike 1.
The turn was definitely awkward. We talk about Arnold stealing, getting kind of hung up at third, not sure if he should go back if the line drive by Denning was going to be caught. And really, that's just a mistake that you have to understand. If that ball is caught behind you, you're going to be doubled off anyway. Just continue running through the bag, and you can't be missing.
That pitch hits Neto, puts 2 on with 2 out. So Zach Neto on for the second time today. Another point too, Cole, on that run from Arnold. Even if you're unsure about whether the ball is caught, I would imagine fundamentally touching the base is so fundamental to how you run the bases.
It is, but everything kind of hits the fan when you make sort of a judgment error out there. He's already 3/4 of the way to third. If that ball's caught by the second baseman or the shortstop up the middle, you have to think you're going to be doubled off anyway as far as you are off the bag.
And on a hit and run, the coach won't be upset either.
Right. It's not your fault. You got a great jump. You executed your game plan on the bases, and you get doubled off by a line drive. That happens. That's part of baseball, but you have to understand that once you're in motion.
Here's Spencer Packard with 2 gone by. And Packard has been killing it in these spots. A .396 average with runners in scoring position. Reason why he leads the Big South with 46 RBI.
He's a great hitter, really, no matter the circumstance. But the last thing you want, Spencer Packard, is hitting misses when runners are in scoring positions. And he just does such a great job of that. Swing through there. He's in aggressive mode, and really just a quality pitch there from Jacob Edwards on the slider down.
This would be a huge testament to Edwards to get out of this inning. Of course, inducing the strikeout. Last frame against Christian with the bases loaded. As Packard calls time. Spencer is among this 3 to 4 players for Campbell that have been among the best in the Big South. Packard top 3 in batting average, RBI, and slugging. That is called strike 2. And Packard does not seem very pleased.
Really good pitch there by Edwards. That's a fastball right at the knees, if not a tick lower on the outside black. Quality pitch, quality take, and sometimes the pitcher's going to get the call. That's the case there.
Edwards one huge pitch away from escaping the second. And Packard spoils it. Spencer Packard is on pace to hit 62 RBI if the season continues at this rate. That would be the most RBI for a single Campbell player since 2013 when Ben McEwen had 65 ribbies.
That's a ton of RBIs, and typically hitters that have that many RBIs will chalk it up to the guys hitting in front of them because they're finding a way to get on base, and also the people hitting behind them are forcing the pitchers to pitch to them.
How about this opposite field single by Packard? Adds to his RBI total as Denning touches third, touches the plate as well, adding on to the lead.
Really a nice piece of hitting there by Packard. Fooled a little bit, able to drag the barrel through the zone and punch something right through where the shortstop would typically be in a non-shift environment, and that's a big shift there with 2 strikes on a very complete hitter. And right here, quality pitch, finds a way to put a bat on it, and would have been a routine ground ball to shortstop, turns into an RBI single for Packard.
It also turns into a meeting on the mound. Head coach Scott Friedholm going to his bullpen in the 2nd inning. A tough start for Asheville and a doubleheader today. We'll take a timeout for the new pitcher entering for UNC Asheville in a 4-1 ball game.
Bender, take 1. Tonight's matchup, me versus an ugly fender bender. If I can eke out a win, it's going to be a miracle, baby.
Mr. Vitale, it wouldn't be a miracle because Geico gives you a team of experts to help manage your claim.
It's going to be a nail-biter.
No, the Geico team is there for you 24/7.
Geico is awesome, baby. Too much?
I think we got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Geico. Great service without all the drama.
We are not merely an institution of higher education. We are transforming lives and empowering students to become leaders.
Leaders in our communities, in our state, and throughout the world.
Leaders in innovation.
Leaders in service to our neighbors.
Join our movement. Join our community. Join our mission. Lead with purpose. Lead with Campbell.
UNC Asheville early to the bullpen in this 2nd inning. Trey Jernigan, the top arm out of the pen for the Bulldogs. 26 innings of work, 10 walks to 24 strikeouts. Coach Scott Friedholm describes Jernigan as his high-leverage reliever. This is about as high-leverage of a spot as you can face in Game 2.
You're exactly right. With the potency of the Campbell offense, couple runners on. Campbell's very dangerous with 2 outs, and they can hit the long ball, hit doubles in the gap. So this is high leverage because if there's really another hit or 2, this game could essentially be out of hand here in the 2nd inning. So it's going to be up to Jernigan to get the last out of this inning and try to stretch out as many as he can to give the bullpen the best chance to compete for all 18 today.
That RBI places Packard at 47 on the year. Not only the best in the Big South, but climbing into the top 25 in the country is Packard. He's chasing Nico Armory of Marist for the top lead. 71 RBI for the nation's leader, and we sit with 3 weeks left in the season.
It's truly incredible. It must be a very prolific offense because nobody gets RBIs alone, and for him to still be getting pitched to and to be hitting with runners on base that often is just, it's truly impressive. It speaks a lot of that young man, but it speaks a lot of the entire offense as well.
There's Colin Wolfe with 2 outs. And Jernigan touches the bottom of the zone. Trey Jernigan did pitch out of the bullpen against Campbell in the last series on March 20th. 3 in the 3rd innings, 2 runs with 4 strikeouts. Needs a similar outing in the middle of Game 2. The 0-1 sizzles inside to Wolfe, who worked out a walk his first time up. And now in this series has reached base 4 times. I have said that about a lot of players this weekend after scoring 19 runs last night. Wolfe fishes on the 1-1 and is down to his final strike.
Nice slider there by Jernigan. We saw him leave the pitch before that up in the zone. Wasn't able to get on top of the baseball, but they're able to start it in the strike zone and break it just off the plate. That's a high-quality pitch and induces the chase by Wolfe at the plate.
Neto and Packard on the bases with 2 gone by. Trey Jernigan trying to clean up what Jacob Edwards started here in the 2nd. Wolfe makes him pay. The fastball's drilled to center. And a 5-1 lead. Here's Packard into third. Wolf goes to second, where he is safe.
And Wolf does a couple things well on that at bat. One, Jernigan misses over the heart of the plate with a fastball, 2 strikes. You can't do that against Campbell offense. Wolf absolutely tattoos it up the middle, picks up his RBI, but also does a great job of getting out of the box, reading the throw, and that hustle allows him to sneak into second base and just beat the tag.
So Trey Jernigan, it's going to be a journey here in this inning. Gives up a base hit to Wolf, who, by the way, now is at 40 RBI himself. One of 4 players in this lineup with at least 35 RBI. It's a tough offense to stop. And Matt Christian delivers a gigantic drive to left field. That is a 3-run home run. And all of a sudden, it's 8-1 in the second.
Well, when it rains, it pours. This Campbell offense tends to go together, and when they all start rolling, it gets dangerous. But Matthew Christian absolutely deposits a slider over the party deck in left field, gets every bit of it, and we talk about not missing up to him. That's exactly why.
The Campbell lineup is hit around here in the second. 7 runs. And how about Matt Christian with his 11th home run of the year?
Well, we've seen the power. We've seen it all year, and what we get is a slider out over the middle of the plate that goes about 410 feet over the party deck in left field. Absolute no-doubter off the bat.
Matt Christian, 2 home runs in the series. Everyone in the Big South is chasing Brandon Langford with 12. It might become a home run derby this weekend, the way the bats are going.
It might, and it's going to be a ton of fun. You love to see the long ball. It's part of baseball. It's one of the most exciting things that can happen in the sport. So I can't think of anything much more fun than watching Christian and Langford go at it and battle long ball for long ball.
Wow, the productivity of Matt Christian at the plate, especially with power as of late. That's 8 home runs in the month. As we start the new month today, May 1st, I tell you what, this lineup is tough to stop.
It is, and especially when Christian's rolling. We've seen his highs, we've seen his lows. Pretty typical for power hitters, but as of late, as Harrell picks up the walk there, he's really found a way to really get consistent with his approach, and he's dangerous. He's hitting everything. He's hitting it really hard.
So Harrell with the walk extends the inning. And now that decision to go to one of the top arms in Trey Jernigan might come back to backfire for Asheville. It's interesting now in the second inning. Granted, we have a long way to go. But in an 8-1 game, how much do you manage a bullpen knowing that Game 3 is just a few minutes later here tonight?
I think it gets tough.
As Skundrich gets hit by the pitch.
As Skundrich gets hit, it's almost double jeopardy when you have a shallower bullpen. You throw a high-leverage guy out there in a big situation. This game's essentially almost out of hand if Campbell's able to extend it any earlier. But you also lose your high-leverage guy for the rest of the day as well if that pitch count gets so high. So managing the bullpen on a doubleheader day it's one of the tougher tasks for a college coach.
Now this Campbell lineup turns around to the 9-hole hitter, and all of a sudden the 12th man to come to the plate in Waldy Arias. Remember, Cole, this inning exploded because of a huge slide by Colin Wolf. And when we have a minute, we'll show you, because that play could have ended the inning at 4-1, and it would have been done right away.
It would have. It could have completely changed the complexion of this game, but he sneaks in there really a half second before the tag, and what a difference it makes with the home run.
Here's the effort of Wolf that time.
It's bang, bang, but that ball is being thrown in front of Wolf, which gives him an opportunity to read the throw, and I think he makes the right call. Maybe a little bit close for comfort there, on the slide into second, especially with 2 outs. But a lot of times hustle can bail you out of bad situations. And right there, he had the wheels on, able to slide in safe.
That follows up with Matt Christian's 6th home run in April. He picks up a first in May, and this offense has exploded since. Now an 8-1 lead. Here's the 1-1 from Jernigan to Arias. It's the Campbell 9-hole hitter out in front. We had wondered with Jacob Edwards, corrected some of those defensive miscues, would they come back to bite Asheville? It seems to have really taken a chomp here in the second inning.
I think the biggest pain of him having to leave the game early is now you're in your bullpen and you've spent your high leverage guy. Campbell's obviously found a way to extend the lead, and did that clip Waldy on the elbow guard?
My goodness, Waldy Arias, who leads the country in hit by pitches, has been plunked again, 24th time this season. Now that was within, oh gosh, half an inch, less than that, a few centimeters. That was tough to tell right away.
That was close. Definitely not a quality pitch from Jernigan. When his slider's good, it's down in the zone. Pretty typical for all pitchers, but we've seen him have that miss up, and right there that slider backs up just a tick and clips Waldy right on the elbow.
This loads the bases for Bryce Arnold, who collected a double back in the second. Got out of his 0 for 5 slump this weekend and watches strike one. Starting to beat a dead horse with these numbers, but Arnold with the bases loaded, hitting .350. And this offense, you talk about breaking the game open. This at-bat could really change game two.
It definitely could. All these hitters are starting to see the ball very well. And
Arnold, here's a drive down the left field line. Foul. I mean, if that ball leaves the park.
And we're 10, 15 feet from this being a different game. But these guys, we talked about Campbell missing a piece early in the season, and that piece was chemistry. These guys, when they're rolling, they don't score 7 runs. They score 15, 20 runs. They feed off each other so much, and that's what we've seen here today. They've just rallied together to have competitive at-bats.
Arnold watches a breaking ball that rings him up. Trey Jernigan finally gets out of the second, not before Campbell strikes for 7.
The underdog. The long shot. The nobody from nowhere, never gonna happen in your dreams, kid. 100 to 1 shot. We know something about that. We're with you every step of the way.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain. And we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Musco Lighting. We make it happen.
Hercules Tires, the official tire sponsor of the Big South Conference. Get your Hercules tires today and ride on our strength. Campbell rides on a 7-run inning with 6 hits, including a home run by Matt Christian, his 11th of the season. Now Ryan Chassie back to work, and he gets a swinging strike to start this frame off the bat of a pitch hitter for UNC Asheville. Actually, Ty Kaufman, the leadoff man for the Bulldogs. Last night we saw both teams go very deep into their rosters. A combined 11 pitch hitters. Kaufman's been the most consistent in this Asheville lineup as he's down 0-2. Ryan Chassie just watched for 26 minutes as his offense went to work. Now with a 7-run lead. A 3-pitch strikeout.
And he comes straight off the break, throws 3 different pitches and executes everyone perfectly, going fastball, changeup to the backdoor breaking ball. You can't help but wonder when we saw him getting a little bit of trouble last inning, gets out of it, gets a ton of run support from his offense, some time to settle down, and looks like he's back to the Ryan Chassie of old, comes out like he didn't miss a beat.
50th strikeout of the year for Ryan Chassie. who misses high to Dominic Freeberger. This top third in the lineup for UNC Asheville is about as dangerous as any in the Big South, especially in terms of RBI production. We'll see Freeberger here, a very unique pre-batting approach. I'm curious how that helps a hitter get ready for this at-bat.
And it looks like he's just trying to feel the bat through the zone. He must have a problem of pulling off. That's typically what you're going to see, guys starting inside, pushing the bat back up the middle.
There's an opposite field swing into the right field corner, and that is down for an extra base hit. Packard tracks it down in the corner on a one-out double by Dominic Freeberger.
And it looks like the drill paid off for him right there, able to stay through the baseball, keeps that ball fair, but able to muster up enough strength to put a little pop on it down the right field line for the double.
9th double of the season for Freeberger. And you're not kidding about practice makes perfect. That was good execution. Sort of like my golf swing. I simulate the driver staying through the ball and not hooking it left or right, and all of a sudden it shanks into the woods on a slice. Here's the home run king of the Big South, Brandon Langford, sitting on 12 home runs. This ball is very deep to left off the end of the bat, and Harrell has room. He did not miss home run number 13 by much.
No, he really missed it by about 10 miles an hour, and that was due in large part to Ryan Chassie going to change up in the 0-0 count. Such a huge pitch for a starting pitcher going against the home run king of the Big South, if you will. And if he throws fastball there, I don't think there's a doubt in anyone's mind that's well over the wall. But able to dial up the changeup and get a one pitch out on the fly out from Langford.
Brandon Langford now 1 for 6 in the series. You guessed it, the one hit was a 420-foot home run last night. Off the bat of Cade Keeler, who went 5 1/3, allowed just 1 run. We talk about shutdown innings being important. This could be crucial here after Campbell just scored 7 in the second. This is Sebastian Dunn, who was a line-out victim to left his last time up. There's a ground ball to short. Zach Neto in his second start at that position. A bit uneasy, but Matt Christian scoops him up. We go to the bottom of the third. Campbell leads by a touchdown.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain. And we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Tired of cooking at home? Change it up without getting up. Just order Jersey Mike's through our app for no-contact delivery or no-contact at-the-door pickup. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
I'm crying 'cause I love you.
Pepsi Wild Cherry.
Tasha, did you know Geico could save you hundreds on car insurance and a whole lot more? So what are you waiting for? Hip Hop Group Tag Team to help you plan dessert?
French vanilla, rocky road, chocolate, peanut butter cookie dough. Scoop, there it is. Scoop, there it is. Scoop, there it is. Scoop, there it is. Scoop, shakalaka, 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 shaka. Scoop, shakalaka, shakalaka, shakalaka.
Geico. Switch today and see all the ways you could save.
Remember to save with Geico, 15% or more. Geico, a proud insurance partner of the Big South Conference. Taking a look at the dog cutouts here today. Part of the Black Dog Club of Smithfield, North Carolina, highlighting dogs that can be adopted and picked up in Smithfield. A beautiful picture of all those animals. Look at Lola sitting there in the third row, the tongue wide open. She is ready to find some new friends. Visit blackdogclub.net and see if you can purchase or adopt a dog today. Cole, you're a new dog owner, I believe. You have the dog Jax, who's on Instagram.
Jock. Jax is a cat. But yeah, go get you a dog. They're a ton of fun. They're a ton of work, but they're a ton of fun. So,
well, the Bulldogs have had to work through this Campbell lineup. 8 runs in the first 2 innings as Trey Jernigan heads back out. He was the bullpen option that entered this game in the second. I'd imagine if you're Scott Friedholm here, Jernigan is going to be asked to pitch the next 4 to 5 innings and buy some time for the rest of his bullpen with Game 3 later tonight.
I would imagine already being at 17, 18 pitches now after that fastball, you're looking at really being spent. And at this point in the season, these coaches know their players, they know their pitchers, and at this point they're showing that he is not a guy. Jernigan's not a guy that can probably bounce back from game to game, especially in the same day. So no surprise to see him eat innings.
Here's a bunt from Denning. He beats the shift perfectly for an infield single.
And we've seen Campbell beat the shift a couple times right there. Denning realizes that the defense is opened up for the bunt, executes it to perfection down the third base line, and with Langford nowhere in sight, that's Jernigan's ball, and with the placement, really no play there at first base off the bat.
Trey Jernigan, in the last 9 outings he's pitched, Asheville's won 8 of those games, mostly out of the bullpen. He's been the stopper for this team. Now he has to stop the hottest hitter in the league, and Zach Neto, who now slots in with a .420 batting average. The only thing that has seemingly slowed down Neto today is a hit by pitch and a fielder's choice. That's been about it.
And even the fielder's choice was a ball that he hit hard, just unfortunately for Neto, right at the second baseman Dunn. And we saw the throwing error on the double play, which ended up leading for a run to Campbell. But even that, even on his outs, he's hitting the ball hard.
Zach Neto now leads the conference in batting average, slugging, and on-base percentage. He certainly wrapped up the Freshman of the Year award, or the Newcomer of the Year, as it goes in baseball. It'll be interesting down the stretch with the likes of Jason Matthews from USC Upstate, I think, is in that conversation. Neto has climbed himself among the Campbell hierarchy, if you will. So there are some players that are in the running for Player of the Year. As Neto smacks a single into center.
And such a good piece of hitting from a young player. This is a quality slider from Jernigan down in the zone, and Neto has the discipline to stay down through it, not try to do too much, and really just hits a rocket right up the middle for the single. And Campbell's cooking again here with nobody out, runners on first and second.
48 hits for Zach Neto, and we're still sitting with 3 weeks to go in the regular season. I think this race, as we start to unfold it, Jason Matthews, Zach Neto, and maybe Brandon Langford, and that might be it in terms of most valuable player discussion.
And in my opinion, I think Neto's almost got it in the bag at this point. If he's able to continue, just the things he's able to do on a baseball field is so different. He can steal bags. He can hit for power. He hits for average. He can play any defensive position, and not to mention he can hop on the hill and pitch as well. Just the ways that he's found to help this team win games are just truly impressive, and I think hard to match for other players that don't have similar versatility.
Trey Jernigan facing yet another jam. Ooh, and a late time call there. I do feel for pitchers. This is a rule in baseball I don't fully understand. An umpire calls time when a pitcher's looking away from the plate. Not always easy to pick up in terms of hearing it, and that can be a distraction as you throw that ball to the plate.
It can be tough, especially, speaking to your point, when you have pitchers that are looking at a runner at second base and can deliver without looking at the plate. It can become a tricky situation for a pitcher.
Packer drills one to second. That's done. Turning two. A frozen rope turns into the first 2 outs of the inning.
And Packard right there, kind of a victim of hitting the ball too hard, lines that ball off. Neto, with the speed of the ball, not able to get back to first. Really a nice snag, great defensive awareness to turn and rifle over to first base. They get Neto by a half step or two and really changes the whole inning from what could have appeared to have happened the way Campbell's been rolling today.
I know runners are taught to freeze on a line drive. Is that even possible for Neto in that spot?
I think even if he does truly freeze, I think he took an extra step or so, but that ball's hit so hard, there's no time for him to do really much of anything.
Instead, a double play turned by Asheville. They're 26th of the season. These are the two teams that lead the conference in turning double plays. Yet it was Asheville in the first inning that had a clear-cut one off the bat of Neto. They did not make it. And Campbell took advantage with a run later that inning. Jernigan now faces Colin Wolf. Missing that time low in the zone. Trey Jernigan out of North Pitt High School in Greenville, right in the heart of East Carolina country. And quickly a meeting here with the pitching coach, Kyle Ward. So Jernigan at about 25 pitches. I'd be curious here what's going through the mind of the Asheville pitching coach.
I think he's going to definitely check on Jernigan, but I wouldn't be surprised. I don't see much action down in the bullpen. I wouldn't be surprised if this is just a calm you down type of visit, stall some time, let him reset, and possibly establish a plan here for Colin Wolf. Such a dangerous hitter. You want to make sure that your pitcher and catcher are on the same page, but you also don't want to give away an at-bat here either with Matthew Wolf on deck when we saw the big home run he hit earlier in this game.
Instead, Jernigan stays out there on the hill. I was thinking possibly that Ward and his pitching staff were managing possibly bringing him back later today, but the more he continues here in the third, the more I would think that Jernigan's out for the rest of the afternoon.
And I would have to think once you pass that 20-pitch threshold, I think that you're probably spent for the day.
Now on 1-1, Wolf shoots a ball into the air. Langford battles the sun, battles the dugout, and makes the catch. One pitch later, Asheville escapes the gym. It's an 8-1 ball game through 3.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, and we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Did you know that Geico's whole 15 minutes thing, that came from me? Really? My first idea was, in 1/4 of an hour, your savings will tower over you, figuratively speaking. But that's not catchy, is it? That's not going to swim about in your brain. So I thought, what about 15 minutes, 15%? Serendipity.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Whether it's the practice field or weight room, in class or on game day, we compete down here. We put in work, day in and day out, to take a step forward towards degrees, championships. Our goals? Excellence on every level. 11 schools, more than 4,000 student athletes, one attitude. We are the Big South, where winners are made.
Get a jolt in your weekend with a Mountain Dew, the official beverage of the Big South Conference. Spark your life, spark your offense as Asheville looks to bunt on the first pitch. And that ball rolls foul off the bat of Will Barber, the DH. UNC Asheville with a run in the second inning. Now trying to kickstart the attack here in the fourth. Barber, Chandler, and Abrams come up in the bottom half of the order as Ryan Chassie has just watched his offense explode in the first 3 innings. What does it take from a mindset standpoint to continue to throw strikes?
Well, he's just got to stay focused on his job.
And his job's to force weak contact to Zach Neto, who makes that look easy.
Neto with a couple nice plays over there at short. Not a ton of time there, but looks to be settling in. And Chassie's just really executing his game plan to perfection right there. Going with the changeup, he's been so focused on that pitch throughout this game as a first or second pitch option for him to each hitter. And really what it does is it sets up a high 80s fastball to look a lot firmer. And once he gets to that, he's been throwing breaking ball off of it. So Asheville hasn't done a ton to really break that rhythm, and he's continuing to work with it, and the further along he starts to set in, the more comfortable he can get in this ball game, and the tougher it'll be to break him.
Another foul ball off the bat of Wade Chandler. High school teammates of Ryan Chassie at Middle Creek in Apex. And this at-bat, we've seen a much more focused Chassie.
I think Chassie learned a lot from the first matchup, and that his stuff is good enough. He doesn't need to do anything extra, because when he does, he tends to miss the zone. It gets him really out of his plan. So right here we see a Ryan Chassie that's much more settled in and just trying to execute his pitches. And right there, going with the breaking ball, looking for the strikeout. Good execution, also a good take there by Chandler, but he's looking to win this one.
Ryan Chassie settling in at 51 pitches, already 3 strikeouts on his tally, and brings it home 1-2. Oh man, Chassie wanted that to retire his former buddy from Middle Creek High School.
It was a good pitch, real front door breaking ball right off the hip of Chandler. I think it missed just a notch or two down in the zone, but great execution there, and really has the door opened up for all 3 of his offerings here in a 2-2 count.
Chandler off the end of his bat. Here comes Harrell in. A sliding ball off his glove. Wade Chandler with a 1-out double. Now reaches base for the second time.
And a good fastball there from Chassie. Chassie gets the better of Chandler there. Weak contact to the left side, and a ball that Lawson Harrell didn't quite get a great read on. You saw him trying to find it off the bat, attempts the sliding catch as the ball kicks away for a double, but good execution by Chassie. Doesn't always bounce your way as Harrell struggles to get a good read out there in left field.
So Wade Chandler scored the lone run for Asheville in the second, gets the benefit of a ball off the glove of Lawson Harrell. And now a swing and a miss from Cole Abrams. Ryan Chassie is going to be punching his pillow tonight when he thinks of these matchups with his old high school teammate.
And I'm sure Chandler will be letting him know as soon as this game ends, hey, I got you a couple times. And that's always the fun matchup, is being able to talk a little trash to your friends from high school and continue competing. And once this series is over, wish each other the best and really hoping both of them get to the playoffs.
UNC Asheville's made a boatload of changes this inning. Here's Cam Johnson at the plate with a .224 clip, the freshman at Fuquay Arena. Chassie's fastball stays inside. Johnson and Chassie did not play in the same high school, but they played on the same travel ball team growing up in Wake County. I do like Scott Friedholm's approach. Throw every player who has any relation with Ryan Chassie out there and see if it can shake his confidence.
I like it. They haven't been able to get much established so far. See if you can rattle them with some relationships that Chassie's had throughout the years. And we saw him struggle with Chandler early, and he looks to have changed his approach to the players he knows a little bit better. But anytime you're chasing 7 runs here in the top of the 4th inning, probably a good idea. Try to spark some offense and get a new look at Chassie.
Cam Johnson, 1 for his last 7 at the plate. Good piece to stay alive. We mentioned Asheville going deep into its bullpen. How valuable will extended innings be from Ryan Chassie today, especially with Game 3 later this afternoon?
It's huge. Campbell prides themselves on having a ton of arms in the bullpen, but anytime you can preserve, especially those high leverage arms, we're talking about Jernigan being a high leverage arm, and having to spend one early in a game you don't necessarily win can be a little costly.
Here's a line drive to left that gets down for a base hit. Chandler around third to score. And the homegrown product strikes for his 2nd run of the day on an RBI base hit from Cam Johnson.
And an impressive at bat, especially off the bench coming in. Haven't seen Chassie today. Fights, earns his fastball over the middle, doesn't miss it, and shoots it in that left center gap, picking up the RBI single. Really a nice piece of hitting, a little jolt for this Asheville offense.
Asheville with runs in the 2nd and the 4th. And one thing worth noting, Asheville can score it as good as any team in this league. 6 runs a game offensively. Here's the pitch hitter, Furman Osio out of Randlow, North Carolina. Osio takes strike one. Have not been the hardest hit balls off of Chassis in this inning. Yet Asheville has manufactured 2 runs on 4 hits. That is called strike 2. Nothing beats a well-located 87-mile-an-hour fastball on the edge of the corner.
And it's an arm side fastball for Chassis also. You can assume it's going to have a little bit of depth on it and a ton of arm side run coming from the lefty. That's a tough pitch for a right-handed hitter to get through and do anything with.
Ground ball to short. Neto starts it. Wolf takes his time and turns the double play. A new tandem up the middle finds their chemistry here through 3.5.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain. And we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Did you know that Geico's whole 15 minutes thing, that came from me? Really? My first idea was, in 1/4 of an hour, your savings will tower. Over you, figuratively speaking. But that's not catchy, is it? It's not going to swim about in your brain. So I thought, what about 15 minutes, 15%? Serendipity.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Whether it's the practice field or weight room, in class or on game day, we compete down here. We put in work, day in and day out, to take a step forward towards degrees, championships. Our goals? Excellence on every level. 11 schools, more than 4,000 student athletes, one attitude. We are the Big South, where winners are made.
An 8-2 ball game as you roll into the bottom of the 4th here in Game 2 of the series. How about that 7-run second inning for Campbell? Justin Harris mentioned his offense can boom or bust at the plate. It certainly detonated in the second.
It seemed to be booming today, even when they haven't necessarily got it going their way in the 3rd inning. They're hitting the ball hard. They're threatening, to score runs every inning, and that takes a toll on a pitcher. You throw a lot of high leverage pitches, and that'll tire you out a lot quicker than those easy 1, 2, 3 innings. So Campbell's going to continue to grind and try to work their way through this bullpen.
So Matt Christian kickstarts the 4th inning at the plate. What did he do the last time up? Did not miss a fastball. Home run, his 11th of the season. That ball was tattooed out of the ballpark. Let's see what he does here in his 3rd plate appearance. Out in front of the breaking ball. It's a good idea from Trey Jernigan. Christian now at 2nd in the Big South in home runs with his 11th of the year. He had some home run potential in 19 with 5 big flies, but it was never on a consistent basis like we've seen in 21.
He's found a way to become a better hitter. The pop has always been there. The long ball has always been an option for Christian, but is he able to produce on a night in and night out basis? Up until this year, I think that was in question. I think this year's solved a lot of the questions that the coaching staff had of him as he continues to work his way through counts, progressions, and situations at the plate. He's shown a ton of growth as a hitter.
In fact, Matt Christian, his last 10 games, hitting .370 at the plate. He's locked in conference play and lays off the breaking ball. There were questions about whether Matt Christian wanted to return for his final season, being a 5th-year senior, transferring, of course, 3 years ago. He has made the most of that promise to return and now is having a heck of a senior year.
I think he's probably looking back on it pretty happy he decided to come back. Baseball gets really fun when you're going well, and right there as he pops it up into shallow right, is really the first ball he's missed.
Pop-up, And Chandler able to make the catch, part of a litany of defensive changes for UNC Asheville. Chandler goes into right. Freeberger is now in center, along with Dunn going to short, and Abrams, who commits that error, is out of the game, and Chandler goes to second with Johnson now at first. That sounds like a head coach and Scott Friedholm trying to send a message.
I agree with it. After the way last night's game went, it gets out of hand, stays out of hand. Today, really trending in the same direction early. I think it's, hey, let's spark some guys, see if we can get somebody going.
Harrell pops this into the corner. Chandler with his second opportunity of the inning and makes the catch.
A couple quick outs here for Jernigan. That slider looks really good. It's down in the zone where it should be, and it's starting as a strike, inducing some swing and miss and some insecurities in the hitters. But the fastball's also been located appropriately as well, and he's reaping the benefits of good pitches here.
Marcus Skundrich was hit by a pitch in the second and scored, as every Camel has now reached base tonight. Grooves in strike one from Jernigan, who with 33 pitches, of course, surrendered a bunch of runs in the second inning, settled in quite nicely. As one of the top high leverage arms for UNC Asheville. Took the biggest leap of any pitcher in the program last year, according to Coach Scott Friedholm. So much so he gave the confidence to move Cole Harris from the closer's role into the rotation, because Asheville said point blank, we were not winning enough games to use Harris as a reliever. We needed him to give him quality starts.
And it's always nice when you have an arm that develops and gives you that opportunity.
Langford with a beautiful pick, but the throw escapes Johnson. On one end, the defense, excellent for Asheville. On the other, it must be frustrating with some of the missed opportunities today.
There's definitely been some defensive miscues. They've led to runs, and here leading at least more pitches for Jernigan. And a ball I think Langford would like to have back. Does a great job of getting behind the baseball. It allows himself to work through it. And I like the play. You're playing as a third baseman there from deep up the line to one hop the first baseman, but right there carries it a bit too far.
Because that short hop's difficult.
And, yeah, it induces that mid-hop, and it gets away.
Waldiarius, the beneficiary, takes ball one. That is officially ruled a single for the moment. I think that will change depending on whether the run scores or things of that nature.
Definitely a tough play. It's a big ask for Langford to make that play as deep as he was, but I think it's got to be ruled an error, because if he delivers a good throw, he's definitely got him by a step or so.
Skundrich off for second. The ball gets away from Osio behind the plate, and now a compounding inning could really hurt UNC Asheville.
It could. They went from essentially should have been out of the inning to now a runner in scoring position, and you're really a hit away from this becoming a run, and it extends and really counteracts the damage in the one spot you were able to put up in the top of the inning.
UNC Asheville has won 5 straight Big South series. That is on the line today here in Game 2. That breaking ball is called a strike. It's interesting, you flipped this series a month ago, March 20th at Asheville. The Bulldogs doubled the Camels in runs scored. The pitching staff was much better, and they won 2 of 3. A drastically different story here in these last 2 games.
And I think in large part that's due to Campbell being a different team. They had some people out that weekend, and they really weren't rolling as hot as they are now. But they found an identity. The team's healthy for the most part, and they're finding a way to play their best baseball here as of late. And so I think largely this is a different Campbell ball club than they saw in Asheville the last time they met.
In that series, Campbell had no catchers available due to some contact tracing issues. So Connor Denning, who caught in high school a couple innings, became the catcher. Justin Hare was the pitching coach for the weekend. Tyler Robinson was out in contact tracing. It was a whole ordeal to get that series together. Justin Hare reminding us how appreciative he is of Tyler Robinson being back on the staff, as Arias chops one foul.
It just goes to show, anytime somebody's out, it can change the way a ball club operates. You lose a pitching coach, and all of a sudden you have to communicate with your pitchers differently, and it's a change for them. They could be a little bit more uncomfortable. The pitch calls are different. It just has a completely different vibe when you have a couple key cogs out of the lineup or out of the dugout. It can totally change your team.
Here's the payoff pitch from Trey Jernigan. Skundrich, a great jump for third. It results in a base hit. That's a Marcus Skundrich RBI. I don't care what the stats say, as Arias adds on to the lead.
Definitely. I agree 100%. Skundrich gets a great jump off second base, stealing third. In doing so, causes Langford to have to move to third base, anticipating a throw. And I think that ball would have been pretty routine. You'll see here, hit right at where Langford would typically be standing. He's on third base. You're exactly right. Marcus Skundrich with the RBI
and
somehow
the fist
from
pump
second.
was perfect. He knew it the second the ball went in the outfield. That's a smart play from Skundrich, proving his worth, getting the start today behind the plate. So an inning that should have been over 1-2-3 is now a run in and back to the top of the order in Bryce Arnold. Keep in mind, Cole, that's 3 of the first 4 innings. Self-inflicted wounds have really hurt UNC Asheville.
And the 3 runs that have come from the errors have changed the game. Instead of this being 6-2 and you're a swing out of it, now it's 9-2 and it still feels almost like a lost cause.
And the umpire gets hit on a wild throw. Trey Jernigan having a tough journey in this inning.
And Jernigan lucky there that the ball does clip the umpire. If not, Arias is definitely going first to third.
Jeff Francis maybe saved 90 feet, if not more, in that situation. That's a huge right field. I tell you, Cole, UNC Asheville has won 5 straight series, but this team looks a little off today.
They are, and this does happen right there. Not a typical miscue for Jernigan on the mound. High leverage arms don't make that mistake. That's why they're high leverage arms. But you're right, they're just a bit off, and it seems to be in most aspects of the game. They haven't been getting great swings off at the plate. The pitching staff's been a little bit off, and the defense. And it's not winning baseball. You'll see here we got a couple arms in the bullpen warming up.
That's J.P. Perez, the junior left-hander, warming up.
You had to think that Jernigan's night was getting close to an end, moving up on 41 pitches. You had to think that they're going to have to spend a couple more arms to get through this one.
Bryce Arnold works the count even. This is his 4th plate appearance. We're in the 4th inning. And believe it or not, if you think about this big picture, we're 2 hours into this game. Campbell's hit around the lineup 4 times, have outscored Asheville 27-3 in 13 innings.
It's been lopsided, and it's not – I don't think we
with
expected
16 innings to play.
Yeah.
I mean, this series has just started in the grand scheme of things.
That's baseball. Sometimes the ball bounces your way, sometimes it doesn't. But anytime you get beat bad on a Friday night, you have to come back and be fundamentally sound on Saturday, because the team that beats you is rolling with a ton of confidence. So they're going to naturally get some of the bounces, but they haven't been able to answer the bell here on Saturday.
Arnold scoops one down the line, and the hitting continues. Bryce Arnold with an extra base hit, cashes in Arias, and the Camels are first to 10 on the scoreboard.
And Arnold's locked in. We saw the fastball he hit off the wall earlier in this game. He's been hitting the ball very hard right there, stays through a slider and hooks a double right down the left field line, and just continues to build for the Campbell offense and pass the torch to the next guy. They've done such a great job of having productive at-bats today.
Second double for Arnold. And how about this celebration as he gets to the base? Well, we'll show you in a second. And now here comes the head coach, Scott Friedholm. And let's see if we can show you that celebration, because these Campbell players have taken pride in saluting opponents' pitchers, sort of signing them off, if you will, after they get out. And Arnold was right there kind of dancing around second base after another extra base hit.
And that's something we've seen as of late in baseball. There's a lot more emotion. There's a lot more celebration. And we've seen MLB players come out and talk about how it's making the game more fun. It's more watchable. So I think in large part these guys are having a ton of fun. Show it to us. Let us enjoy it as well. And, boy, are we having a ton of fun watching this offense be productive today.
When we come back, UNC Asheville to its bullpen yet again in the 4th inning as Campbell leads by 8.
There's not a secret to what actually happens behind the scenes at a bank. Here at First Citizens, we're trying to educate the client in each step of what's actually going to happen and actually have them make the educated decision around what steps and what options they utilize. We want to become that trusted advisor that actually guides them down that road, helping you reach your goals. That's Forever First.
Tired of cooking at home? Change it up without getting up. Just order Jersey Mike's through our app for no-contact delivery or no-contact at-the-door pickup. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
I'm crying 'cause I love you.
Pepsi Wild Cherry.
The doctor said I had prostate cancer. I needed to do something else. Can I go to proton therapy? Hampton University Proton Therapy Institute. He said, yeah, you can do it, man. It's a breeze, man. When I went for the treatments, there were no side effects. Whatever you could do before, you could do it after. Thank you, Jesus. I'm so glad I can go down there. But I tell you right now, I wanted to let those people know that I really appreciate it. Man, HU is his spot. This is Cindy. When you call her up, she's so nice on the phone. This is Jen. This is Ashley.
Pepsi, the official beverage partner of the Big South. What fans like, and what they like is watching quality baseball. Glad to have fans back in the ballpark. It's Pepsi, a proud sponsor of today's broadcast. Pitching change for UNC Asheville. J.P. Perez out of the bullpen. He'll face Connor Denning as this fourth inning extends, a 10-2 lead. And Cole, we've done some numbers. Not only unearned runs, but runs scored via UNC Asheville mistakes in this game. 7 of the 10 runs have come by virtue of mishaps.
They have, and that's not winning baseball. You have a prolific offense in Campbell. The last thing you can afford to do, especially on a doubleheader day, is give them opportunities, which in turn will lead to runs. They're only going to miss so many times. If you give them enough opportunities, they're going to capitalize. And Campbell hasn't missed many of those opportunities today, leading to the 10-2 score.
Connor Denning with 10 hits against UNC Asheville this season in 5 games. And he watches strike one. At some point, the numbers are hard to digest and regurgitate with what Denning's been able to do. How about 5 doubles, a home run, and 5 RBI in the first 5 meetings of this series?
Sometimes you just see it well off a certain team, a certain pitching staff. The way that they attack hitters suits you well, but maybe not the case with Denning. He's been so dangerous really against every opponent he's faced, but maybe just a tick better against UNC Asheville. Seems to be seeing the ball very well.
The 3-1 is popped out of play. It'll be fascinating as we get ready for Game 3 later today. How does the offense translate from one game to the next? Clearly, UNC Asheville has shown 5 straight series. They've dropped a game in big fashion. Blowout, large difference. They've come back to win. How do they respond later today as Denning works out a 2-out free pass?
Well, when things go your way, baseball tends to get very easy, and then you get a break for the doubleheader. You turn around, you go again, and you have to essentially not take anything for granted. You're not going to necessarily go out and score 10-plus runs in the third game because you did in the first 2. It just doesn't work that way. So you're going to have to go back to your diligent approach of one pitch by one at-bat by one inning, and find a way. And then if it starts to explode, you start having a ton of fun again, start getting some big swings from guys and extend the lead. But don't take anything for granted. You have to continue to go to work.
Definitely can't take for granted what Zach Neto can do at the plate. The freshman who picked up a single in the third. The hit streak is now at 17 games. I've actually run out of superlatives with Zach Neto, I will admit, in these last 2 broadcasts. There are plenty to go through. Facing J.P. Perez with runners on. Sends one high and deep to center. Freeberger has room to make the catch. Campbell adds 2 more onto its lead. It's 10-2 through 4 innings of play.
Bender, take one.
Tonight's matchup, me versus an ugly fender bender. If I can eke out a win, it's going to be a miracle, baby.
Mr. Vitale, it wouldn't be a miracle because Geico gives you a team of experts to help manage your claim.
It's going to be a nail biter.
No, the Geico team is there for you 24/7.
Geico is awesome, baby. Oh. Too much?
I think we got it.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Geico. Great service without all the drama.
We are not merely an institution of higher education. We are transforming lives and empowering students to become leaders.
Leaders in our communities, in our state, and throughout the world.
Leaders in innovation.
Leaders in service to our neighbors.
Join our movement. Join our community. Join our mission. Lead with purpose. Lead with Campbell.
Campbell, an interesting stretch coming up this week at North Carolina, the final non-conference game of the year. Called a big matchup versus number 2 seed USC Upstate. That series could decide very important seeding situation down the stretch.
It could, and if you're Campbell, I think you've got to be excited about that's your opportunity to really jump in these standings, compete with one of the best teams in the conference, and possibly creep into one of the top spots, if not the top spot. And right now, if they continue to play good baseball, it's all in their control. Ball's in their court if they take care of business. I think they got to like where they stand at this point.
Big South standings coming in. Gardner-Webb a half-game lead over Upstate. Campbell is 2 games back, but all 3 of those teams just 1 loss difference in the standings. So very close in that regard. Chassie misses high and away. So a 2-1 count to start this 5th inning. Against Grayson Pressler out of the 9 spot for UNC Asheville. What also makes this season so unique is that 3 games against Upstate won't define a team's overall record. Think about Campbell. They are 6-3 against the top 2 teams in the league, yet sit 3rd because of their record against everyone else.
It's been a great year for conference. There's more games. It's competitive in large part. You see a lot of split series, which is great. It shows that teams are coming in and competing as Chassie picks up the strikeout there of Pressler. Great breaking ball off another sizable break. Continues to show he wants to be in this game for the long haul, but I love the way conference is playing. It's, one bad weekend is, you're exactly right, not going to take you out of the series or out of the playoff potential.
As of right now, 5 teams are within 2 games of that final spot, including UNC Asheville that enters today tied for 6th, as there's a strike to Ty Kaufman. Ryan Chassie has waited around for probably an hour with his offense at the plate. Here he sits at 4 1/3 innings and 4 strikeouts.
And I think he's done a good job of not getting flustered by long breaks.
This line drive is directly at Spencer Packard, who's positioned perfectly.
It's always tough as a pitcher when you're throwing in a different under different circumstances. And when this game is 10-2, he understands he doesn't need to be perfect. He just can't compound mistakes. But also with long breaks, being able to come out, command the strike zone, he's done a great job with all 3 pitches and continuing to limit chances for the Asheville offense. Speaks a lot about how developed he is as a pitcher.
Chassie searches for his 5th win of the season, only trailing Mason Miller of Gardner-Webb and Jordan Marks of USC Upstate for the most wins of any starting pitcher. That'll be quite a neat race as well for pitcher of the year in the conference. I think Marks has the edge at 7-1, an ERA of 1.57.
That's going to get it done. He's a very impressive pitcher in really a league that's pitching better than I've seen it in a long time. So it's not that the competition's weaker. It's that, he's been that great this year, and he's definitely a big arm talent and going to be a talent at the next level, I'd assume.
80 strikeouts to 10 walks for the Big South's top prospect entering the year. Another arm who could have entered that conversation was Cam Cowan, the preseason pitcher of the year, yet an elbow injury. He's been out since the very first start. Have not seen Cowan all year. And what's really fascinating is the race for the wins leader of the conference. Alex Garbrick of Upstate has 5 victories. Marks has 7. As Chassie gets a foul ball here trying to pick up his 5th win of the year. Remember, Chassie was brilliant when these teams last met March 20th in Asheville. 6 innings, a 2-run ball. His bullpen let the game slip away, but he was well in line to earn the win in that series.
And that's the tough part of being a starting pitcher is if you leave that game early, you're essentially putting it in someone else's control. Even if you do your job, you're not necessarily on the hook for the loss, but you can get a no decision real quick.
And he did go around. The strikeout for Chassie, adding to his totals. 5 tonight for the Campbell Ace.
The underdog. The long shot. The nobody from nowhere, never gonna happen in your dreams, kid. 100 to 1 shot. We know something about that. We're with you every step of the way.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, and we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Musco Lighting. We make it happen.
Taking a look at the Big South Conference standings, I mentioned it last inning. Those top 3 teams pretty much clinched into the Big South tournament. The race for 4th is on. Who is a team in the bottom half who could be dangerous in that 4th spot?
I think if Asheville can get it clicking, I think they win a couple series, they handle business. They're going to have a big turn of events here for this weekend, but you're not going to win every conference series. If they can get out of here with 1 and then get through the rest of the year with series wins or possibly even sweeps, I think they could sneak in.
To your point, Asheville's schedule brutal down the stretch. Still with games against Gardner-Webb, an upstate series, and of course this series still to go this weekend.
It's tough, but I think if you want to get in, you've got the best opponents in the conference ahead of you in your sights, and maybe you need a couple things to go your way with other teams as well. But if you handle business and you really want it, you're either going to get it or you're going to let it slip away from your fingers, and you'll be the first one on the outside looking in.
One team that's played much better baseball as well is Radford as of late, with a first-year head coach, 2 straight conference series wins as Packard works outside against J.P. Perez, his 2nd inning of relief. And Radford's got a tough stretch coming up versus Campbell, hosting Charleston Southern, and at Gardner-Webb. So if you want to get into the tournament, you have to beat good teams to do it this year. There's no more backing your way into an 8 seed or a 9 seed type of situation.
No, you're absolutely right, and they have to face these guys more than one time, and we're seeing possibly a reversal of a series in Campbell-Asheville that we saw earlier this year with Campbell coming back to the plate. Spencer Packard does a great job of lining that ball down the left field line looking for 2.
How about that opposite field double for Packard? He's hit against the shift twice today and now has 2 hits going the other direction.
Oh, he's done a great job of going with the baseball, hitting it where it's pitched, and that's what I always find interesting about the shift is this ball is out over the middle of the plate. Could be a missed pitch, but that ball's out over the plate, primed to be poked down that left field line. And if you're going to shift, in my opinion, you need to make sure that you pitch to the shift. Otherwise, it gets really easy for a really good hitter to poke it through where your guys aren't.
Packard is now 15th in the country in doubles. That's his 16th extra base hit, chasing Austin Knight of Charlotte, who has 25 doubles on the year for the nation's lead. By the way, that Charlotte program picked up another series win over Old Dominion today. The Knights are up to 14th in the country. That's a very good team down in Charlotte.
It is. 14th in the country says a lot about you. You've got to beat some good opponents, and you've got to win off.
And, Cole, you've worked a couple of those East Carolina games. The Pirates and the 49ers played this year. That was a competitive series. There's some good mid-major teams in NCAA baseball.
And it's something that I think we talked about earlier on this season. There's more kids in college baseball this year than ever before due to COVID circumstances, etc. But this is one of the best years of college baseball, if not the best year I can think of in recent memory, if not ever, just because of the depth of players, the depth of teams. You're getting a good arm coming in. And
Colin Wolfe rips one to second. That's a first out recorded, moving Packard over to third base.
And not going to go down as a hit there for Wolfe, but will go down as a productive at bat, able to move Packard from second to third. Now you can score in a variety of different ways, and Matthew Christian's job will get a lot easier at the plate. A sac fly will do it, a ground ball will do it. Really a nice piece of hitting there by Wolfe, giving up his at bat for the better of the team.
So Kaufman is now at second base. You see him number 12 there. Asheville has been free reign with substitutions the last couple of innings. There's Matthew Christian watching strike one. And you talk about a huge series in college baseball this weekend. Mississippi State at number 6 heads to LSU that has opened its ballpark to 100% capacity, which is a good sign for college baseball, but also what a series in the SEC as two heavy hitters go after it.
I definitely think it's a good sign. More fans here, more fun for me, but I think it's going to change the game for some of these players, especially some of the younger players that have been playing college baseball for the first time in empty stadiums or minimum capacity.
Wow, Christian smacks one into right center. This ball's got some legs to the wall, and it's just caught by Chandler. That scores Packard on the sacrifice fly. Matt Christian up to 46 RBI on the year.
And really just a fantastic at-bat there. His only job as a power hitter, runner on third and less than 2 outs, is get a pitch up in the zone that you can drive, or at least a pitch that you know you can drive. And right there, misses another home run by 5 to 10 feet. Great job of getting his best swing off and ensuring the sacrifice fly.
Lawson Harrell digs in with 2 outs, and it's worth noting a 9-run difference here in the 5th. The Big South has initiated a 10-run mercy rule after 7 innings. And you wonder in a doubleheader how crucial that would be for both teams. As Harrell watches ball 2.
Well, I think what's interesting about it to me is that I think it helps both teams. If that happens, I think, obviously Asheville doesn't want to concede or give up to the mercy rule, but it does, in essence, benefit them. They don't have to spend an extra arm or extra pitches for those extra few innings. But also, this thing is in the bag for Campbell, essentially, and you don't want hitters going up in a 15-2 ball game either and giving away at-bats, falling out of rhythm because the at-bats are essentially meaningless.
Campbell with 7 runs in the 2nd inning. That's all they've needed today. And an insurance run here as of late as that pitch is inside and a 2-out walk. Has to be such a difficult challenge for UNC Asheville. They enter this series with a 7 ERA, and Scott Friedholm was telling us if this team wants to be a legit contender, pitching has got to improve, and that has not been very easy here today.
It hasn't improved, and it's tough when you face an offense like this that seems to be only getting better as the day goes on, as the season really goes on. And, sometimes it's not in the cards for that team. I've played on teams. I've seen teams that very prolific offensively could play a bit of defense, but the pitching it wasn't in the cards for them to be overly successful. I don't know that they're ready to concede that argument, but you're right. They're definitely going to have to step up, and they also understand too that 2 runs is not very threatening to a Big South Conference that is very revamped and largely competitive from top to bottom.
Marcus Skundrich awaits the 1-1 and lays down in the way. We have mentioned in so many innings how many times runs have been gifted by mistakes or miscues from Asheville. This is the only true inning that you've seen today where Campbell has manufactured offense, and it comes all the way in the 5th. And Skundrich fights off the 2-1.
And it's one of those unique things about college baseball. Everybody takes for granted that you're playing Division I baseball. Kids can play defense, kids can throw strikes, and kids can hit. It's not always that easy, and it doesn't always happen with that sort of frequency.
Nor in that order as well.
Right, yeah, you're just not going to find teams that can do all three.
Harrell heads for second, an easy stolen base. That's uncontested as the Camels with their third steal of the day today.
It's just not easy to put all three together, and I think Asheville has stepped up to the plate. They have a good ball club. They've shown that they can beat big teams. They're just, maybe one piece of the puzzle away, and it may be the arms. But you can. The best part about baseball is you can fix that in 1 year with a new class coming in and new recruits coming in. We could see a total turn of events next year if you're just one piece away.
Asheville with 17 underclassmen on this roster. So many freshmen and sophomores. COVID freshmen, of course, part of the club. A Campbell team that's about as old as any team in the country. 15 seniors set to graduate in 2 weeks. Here's Waldy Arias with 2 gone by, hitting out of the 9 spot. There's strike 1 to Arias. J.P. Perez trying to keep this a 9-run game, which does matter in terms of the run rule this year. Difficult to keep track of the innings, but it started with a double from Spencer Packard. He was scored on the sac fly for Matt Christian, his 47th RBI of the year. Spencer Packard has one-upped him now at 48 RBI, and that race is going to be fascinating to watch.
And those inter-team competitions are fun. There's banter in the dugout, there's banter in the locker room, and these guys want to get after each other just as bad as they want to get after the other team, and they're going to have a bunch of fun competing for a few offensive categories, it looks like, down the stretch, and who's going to get bragging rights on the year.
Cole Hallam, as a player, you were part of that, especially in terms of home run competitions with teammates in the Big South, trying to boost yourself up. How much of a boost is that when you're battling the next guy for the best record?
I think it makes you better. It's something to where you and your teammates you're going to compete, but you're going to offer advice as well. You can learn from people that hit similarly to you, and I think that's what this Campbell team's been doing. They've been sharing information.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, and we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Tired of cooking at home? Change it up without getting up. Just order Jersey Mike's through our app for no-contact delivery or no-contact at-the-door pickup. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
I'm crying 'cause I love you.
Pepsi Wild Cherry.
Tasha, did you know Geico could save you hundreds on car insurance and a whole lot more? So what are you waiting for? Hip-hop group tag team to help you plan dessert?
French vanilla, rocky road, chocolate peanut butter cookie dough. Scoop that is, scoop that is, scoop that is, scoop that is, scoop shakalaka, 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 shaka, scoop shakalaka, shakalaka, shakalaka.
Geico. Switch today and see all the ways you could save.
Live from Bowie's Creek, North Carolina. How about these dogs? You can adopt them today at the Black Dog Club in Smithfield. Visit blackdogclub.net. All those cardboard cutouts, pictures of dogs that are available, along with other animals for the Campbell baseball program. And neat perspective. See those cute pups out today. There's strike 1 to the hottest dog in the lineup for UNC Asheville, Brandon Langford, who has 12 home runs on the year. He's more of a Great Dane at the plate, I guess you could say.
He's a big threat, and they're still going to have to be careful with him, but Campbell's done a good job of limiting his opportunities with runners in scoring position. There's nothing more frustrating as a power hitter in the middle of a lineup than leading off an inning. Of course, you can hit a solo home run, but that doesn't really do much in an 11-2 ball game. Your job is to hit with runners in scoring position. So that's going to be something frustrating. We'll see if it wears on Langford or not, but typically you'll see some guys give away at bats or try to establish trends for at bats later in the day or later in the game.
This is exactly what Langford did yesterday. Led off the 6th with a home run, the only run for Asheville in Game 1. Now he lays off the breaking ball. That was a 19-1 final. Largest margin of victory for Campbell all season. Game 2's been much a similar story. An 8-1 start in the first 2 innings has been added on since. As Chassie gears up for the 1-2, trying to add on to his 5 strikeouts. He's got it with the inside fastball.
And a beautiful pitch there for Chassie. A lot of times power hitters, especially one like Langford, that stands on the plate does not get pitched in that often. Pitchers are scared to hit them if they miss in. And right there, Chassie dials it right up on the inside corner. And perfect pitch to execute for strike 3.
6 strikeouts and 5 1/3 innings for Chassie. That matches his strikeout total from his last outing. Remember, Chassie had 9 Ks when these teams met up at Asheville. 6 dominant innings. He had to leave the game with a high pitch count, and the Bulldogs came storming back to win that game 4-2. Here he is cruising in the 6th today with his offense giving him support, and the count is even against Sebastian Dunn. I know as a competitor, you always want to do your best. But if you're both these teams, you got to be looking at the scoreboard, right, given the run rule department here in these 7 innings?
You are, and as a competitor, if you're on Asheville's team, there's nothing more embarrassing than a mercy rule or a white flag wave and almost essentially a forfeit. That hurts you, it cuts you deep, and it's not something you ever want to be a part of. But as Campbell is concerned, I think as a competitor also, you want to make your opponent feel that way because you think that if you can humiliate them and just beat them into the ground in Game 1 today, that should put you in a very good position to have a ton of confidence in Game 2.
That's a 5-pitch walk to Sebastian Dunn. Glad you mentioned that because in this same series back on March 20th, Campbell won in run rule fashion 17-4. Chassie got the ball in Game 3. We mentioned the stat line, about 6 innings. Then Asheville came back that night and won the series 4-2.
Which shows a lot about the character of their ball club. And not often do you see teams get humiliated, embarrassed. That's the only word you can really choose for it, that come back and show the resilience and the confidence in their ability to come back and beat a team after something like that happens.
Marcus Skundridge calls time to settle in his starter in Ryan Chassie, who sits on 6 strikeouts today. And more impressively, Chassie's up to 9 strikeouts per 9 innings. Not sure he'll ever catch Jordan Marks, who's posting a 13 strikeout per outing average. Marks was fantastic here in Bowie's Creek and has continued that here in the last 2 months.
13 strikeouts per 9 is truly exceptional. It takes a special arm to do that, especially over the course of a long season and over a bunch of starts where pitchers are going to have their best stuff 1 out of every 5 days that they start, not 1 out of every 5 days. So you may go 3 or 4 consecutive weeks without having your best stuff and able to still maintain a 13 strikeouts per 9 ratio it's truly impressive.
That's why USC Upstate is 28-9. They were one of the last undefeated teams left in the country with a 15-0 start. Chassie, a great pickoff move to first and guns down Dunn.
And that's going to be a tough one to swallow for Dunn. You're chasing 9 runs here in the top of the 6th. You mean nothing on first base. Possibly less than nothing. Chassis gives him a great move, though, delivers a strike. And
I think Christian was even surprised on that. He had so much time.
He was, and then he reached a little bit for the tag, applied it, and that's a tough out to give away in this style of ball game.
And now it's 3-2. Will Barber trying to extend this inning. He is 0 for 2 with a strikeout today. Here's the 2-2 pitch. That's a double doink.
I think as long as you get 1, you'll take it, but 2 for good measure, right?
Remember the old wiffle ball games we played in the backyard? Those things could doink, doink, doink and still go over the fence. Then the dogs have to go fetch it for you, and that's what's always difficult.
Then you lose a couple balls, the game might end, but heck of a game regardless.
At least until the sun sets tonight. The 2-2 is kerplunked off the end of the bat. Marcus Skundrich has worked a good game behind the plate. We've seen his running ability to manufacture a few runs today. Now he guides Chassis through what has been an excellent start in 5 2/3 innings. About to be 6 as Zach Neto jogs in, plays catch in the backyard, and makes the play. We go to the bottom half. Campbell leads by 9.
There's not a secret to what actually happens behind the scenes at a bank. Here at First Citizens, we're trying to educate the client in each step of what's actually going to happen and actually have them make the educated decision around what steps and what options they utilize. We want to become that trusted advisor that actually guides them down that road, helping you reach your goals. That's Forever First.
Tired of cooking at home? Change it up without getting up. Just order Jersey Mike's through our app for no-contact delivery or no-contact at-the-door pickup. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
I'm crying 'cause I
Pepsi Wild Cherry.
The doctor said I had prostate cancer. I needed to do something. I said, can I go to proton therapy? Hampton University Proton Therapy Institute. He said, yeah, you can do it, man. It's a breeze, man. When I went for the treatments, there were no side effects. Whatever you could do before, you could do it after. Thank you, Jesus. I'm so glad I can go down there. But I tell you right now, I wanted to let those people know that I really appreciate it. Man, HU is his spot. This is Cindy. When you call her up, she's so nice on the phone. This is Jen. This is Ashley.
Campbell's offense is clicking on all cylinders. It's worth tweeting about. First in the country in hit by pitches. Top 10 in on-base percentage and scoring. Truly balanced offense for Justin.
They find a way to get it done. Everybody knows that Campbell can hit the long ball, but yeah, they get hit by pitches. They find ways on base through tough at-bats, walks, etc. And good things happen when you apply pressure to pitchers with runners on base, and they've gotten big hits. They're 12th in the country offensively, and it's not too hard to believe it.
That batting average is even more impressive for a team with so much power. As a team, they hit .308. Bryce Arnold has had his fair share of hits. 2 doubles today. Watches strike 1 from Brett Johnson, the new arm for UNC Asheville. Freshman out of Mount Airy, North Carolina. This top 6 in the Campbell lineup, they have been prolific all year long, and today that has remained much the same. 8 hits, including a home run from Matt Christian, as Arnold nearly has his 3rd. There's a reason Justin Hare standing, 110 feet back over there at third base? He's not taking any chances.
I don't blame him. We've seen a few hot foul balls kind of go his way, and he's still too close for comfort for me.
The sport that's even more difficult is softball for some of those first base coaches when lefties pull the ball down the line. I tell you what, you talk about walking into a dangerous room.
It's quick, and for those that don't know, softballs are not soft in any way, shape, or fashion, and that game happens in a hurry.
Arnold off the end of his bat, flips it to first. Oh, Yes, he did. Step on top of the bag there. Johnson makes the play and takes the embarrassment. Cole, you were a pitcher and a first baseman. That's not a – well, now the sarcastic round of applause from the crowd there, but that's not an easy play.
It's not, especially as a pitcher if you haven't gotten a ton of innings, or at least not in a while. It gets awkward real quick trying to catch and tag the bag at the same time. And
I mean, he didn't step on top of the base. He did get the corner. It's just the finish there wasn't the prettiest.
Definitely not a great finish, but that's one of those. I've been there, and that's one that most of the time hurts your pride a little bit more than it hurts your body. And they're going to give him a few warm-up pitches here for good measure.
Here's Johnson making the play at first. Oh, that left leg. Oh.
Yeah, that one might have hurt. A little hyperextension possibly on that left knee, trying to.
Oh, yeah. That's just not pretty.
Yeah, that's not fun, and
that's not an injury, or that's not a mistake. That's just the leg giving out on you a little bit.
Kind of an awkward stride there.
I know young kids with Oshkosh go through some of those learning pains of how to step and land properly with all the long limbs. Johnson, he does not have that condition, but it sort of seemed like he was having some trouble landing properly.
It's awkward, and baseball's it can be an awkward game at times when you have to watch a baseball to catch it and tag a bag that you can't see. Can put you in a couple awkward positions, and right there I think that's what happened. Probably pretty fortunate there for Johnson. Nothing worse happened on the hyperextension other than maybe a little embarrassment, a little bit of pain, but seems to be able to continue pitching.
Connor Denning pokes one foul. He now has multi-hit games in 8 of his last 10 contests. This is a hitter who was named top 100 draft-eligible batter by D1 Baseball. Him and Spencer Packard were both on the list among draft-eligible players. And you do wonder with Denning as a switch hitter, does that translate to the next level as a possible minor league prospect?
I think as of now, I think he's good enough as a switch hitter to continue switch hitting. It's so tough, but he's been largely competitive from both sides of the plate. And
Denning shoots one high into the air. This is a long run for Freeberger. Oh, there's the catch. 2 gone by. That is Drew Bristow in center. My apologies.
And a bit uncomfortable there out there for Bristow. Running in full speed. Had a bit of company out there on the shallow fly ball, but able to maintain his focus, which can get pretty tough when you hear footsteps in your area.
He didn't hear him. He saw him. That's like seeing 2 freight trains coming down the same line, and there's no alternate route. It is hit the brakes and slam the conductor and try to warn your possible train.
There's nothing peaceful about running head-on at another player or a wall, because if you do collide, there's no winners there.
A lot of lessons in physical education today. We might have to have a little class this afternoon on how to run and avoid moving targets and all different stuff. Here's Zach Neto, who has been a freight train at the plate. A quiet day for Neto, and by his standards, 1 for 3 with 2 runs scored. Ooh. Okay, Justin, here, just move a little farther back. The Campbell head coach could be in his best interest.
Yeah, that ball is absolutely ripped. I don't know that you even have time to react from that close.
As the ball gets tossed into the bullpen for good measure. Here's Brett Johnson, an ERA of just north of 11 entering this contest. He allowed 4 runs against Campbell in his last outing back on March 20th. That was in 2 1/3 innings. You see Neto there sort of shaking his head after the pitch. If that doesn't speak confidence of a hitter, I'm not sure what does.
Well, if there's anybody that should be confident in this league, I think it's got to be Neto at the plate. He hadn't missed much lately, and you want pitches to hit.
There's a pitch he could hit, but he missed it. Because that's what you want to avoid, correct? The over-ambitious swing.
Yeah, and really a great job by Brett Johnson of understanding he's trying to be aggressive. They want to add another run, and the slider comes out of the hand looking great. Looks like a strike and is probably a strike for about 50 feet. Unfortunately, it falls off the last 10, and you get the swing and miss.
Neto recognizes the changeup that time and works the count full. Another incredible stat for Neto's success. 10 walks and 12 hit by pitches for a batter who's also at a 420 clip on the year. The payoff is ripped foul. Think about his outs today. It was a ripped ground ball that should have been a double play, a single, a hit by pitch, and a line out to deep center on the warning track.
And it's getting to the point to where it's typical for Neto to hit the ball hard at least 3 times a game. It seems like even when he is getting out, he's hitting the ball hard.
On cue, off the glove of Langford in the base hit. Second of the day for Neto, who wants second base. Here he goes, and the train slides into second.
And you got to love that in an 11-2 ball game. Neto fights his way through an at-bat, gets a fastball that he rips. He rips this ball right through the 6-hole. Langford has really a slim chance, a do-or-die play on that ball, but slows it down just enough, and Neto hustling out of the box, sliding into second base easily. Really great hustle play, and a play that's getting less and less as we wear on in this game and in this season.
I'm infatuated with Zach Neto's game. It is growing on the Big South community very quickly. 14 doubles for Neto on the season. Sets the stage for the doubles leader in the conference, Spencer Packard, who has 15. And I bet Packard's sitting there going, well, there goes my doubles record. Up, there goes my RBI record. Up, he's first in batting average. Up, it's also first in slugging and on-base percentage.
Neto's come alive, but what I love so much is he's at the top of every chart. He doesn't need the extra double, right? You see guys that are like, oh, I'm hitting 350. I have 10 doubles already. It's okay. I'll just take my single here. But he's extending and pushing and trying to continue getting better in an 11-2 ball game. I just think that's so outstanding from a competitive standpoint.
UNC Asheville in a drastic shift here for Packard, who has gone opposite field twice in 4 at-bats. I am a bit curious by this, as Johnson works on a 2-0 count.
What I've found interesting about it, too, is they haven't necessarily pitched to their shift to Packard at any point. And right here you have a sinker ball pitcher in Brett Johnson who's going to try to sink the fastball and run it off the plate away from Spencer Packard. That is going to naturally push him to the left side of the field where there's only one player, and that's Langford at third base.
All those pitches sailing away as Neto just takes third without a throw. I mean, at some point, UNC Asheville's got to be more locked in. That's incredible by Neto.
You're right. They're not locked in. If anything, I think they're a bit checked out. I didn't hear runner. There was nobody aware of Neto extending and extending and extending. At some point, he sees that Langford's nowhere near the bag, and he can sneak in there without a throw. That's really just not paying attention by the defense.
A defense that has watched Campbell score 30 times in, 14 innings? Maybe 15 here with one more out. This has been a offensive display, and here comes Colin Wolfe. Remember, if Campbell leads by 10 after 7 innings, or 6.5 in this case, it would be a run rule fashion. Keep that in mind as Wolfe digs in. Here's a line drive to center. Get down ball. Get down into the gap, and nope, it is caught as Bristow keeps it a 9-run game. We go to the top of the 7th here in Buies Creek.
Bender, take one.
Tonight's matchup, me versus an ugly fender bender. If I can eke out a win, it's going to be a miracle, baby.
Mr. Vitale, it wouldn't be a miracle because Geico gives you a team of experts to help manage your claim.
It's going to be a nail biter.
No, the Geico team is there for you 24/7.
Geico is awesome, baby. Too much?
I think we got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Geico. Great service without all the drama.
We are not merely an institution of higher education. We are transforming lives and empowering students to become leaders.
Leaders in our communities, in our state, and throughout the world.
Leaders in innovation.
Leaders in service to our neighbors.
Join our movement. Join our community. Join our mission. Lead with purpose. Lead with Campbell.
Park. Look at those dogs having a grand old time. Remember, visit Black Dog Adoption Agency in Smithfield, blackdogclub.net. Your chance to adopt one of those cute puppies today. Ryan Chassey's thrown a couple of nice bones over the plate. 6 innings of 2-run baseball as he tries to earn his 5th win of the season.
He's looked good, and he's had some long breaks throughout the day that he's been able to come back from. Got himself in a bit of trouble early, but has been able to control the pitch count as well, and looks to be getting better as this game wears on, and that's typical from what we've seen. If Chassey's able to get established early, he does well late, and it's really been, can he get through the first 4 or 5 innings?
He allowed 1 run in the 2nd, 1 in the 4th, and has settled in quite nicely since. Here's Wade Chandler, who has really given Chassey his biggest trouble. A double and a walk today. Has scored both times. He leads off the top of the 7th. Chassey on 1 and 2. This matchup between Chassey and Chandler, obviously high school teammates, they also have learned more about each other as the game's gone on.
They have, and we've seen Chandler come out, the winner 2 times, and he's drawn the walk. He's gotten the single to left field, but Chassey's adapted too. He's pitching him completely different than he did early on in the game, as we see a couple back-to-back fastballs on the inside half trying to tie Chandler up.
Ryan Chassey sitting on 6 strikeouts, 3 shy of his season high that was set against Asheville back on March 20th. Here he comes on 2 and 2. Gets his strikeout. Retiring his high school teammate for punch out number 7.
And a great job by Chassey setting up the strikeout there. Fastball in the inner half, sets up breaking ball to start inner half, end up in the dirt, and beautiful execution on the breaking ball for the strikeout.
There was no change of emotion on that man's face, but I guarantee you in his head he is celebrating right now.
Oh, it's definitely going to be big for him to answer back to a couple early victories for Chandler with a big strikeout here in the 7th.
Cole Abrams watches strike 1, and Cam Johnson filling in this spot now. Johnson pokes one foul. Asheville scored 3 runs in this series. They averaged 7 runs a game, a pretty prolific offense in the Big South. Yesterday's game withstanding, what has Campbell been able to do to shut down the Bulldogs?
Well, Campbell's played cleaner defense, number one. That helps. And they haven't given away big opportunities, but Chassey's been in the zone for the most part and hasn't given away great opportunities to the offense either.
There's a base hit for Johnson going the other way, the 5th hit of the day for UNC Asheville. And now Johnson is 2 for 2. I don't want to say this game has lost some luster, but certainly the energy and emotion of the first 4 innings have died off here as we sit in the 7th.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say it's pretty safe to say it's not nearly as loud as it was through the first few innings, and I think that both teams are probably ready to just reset and roll for Game 3, but nonetheless, unless Campbell puts up another run here in the bottom of the inning or over the next couple innings, we're going to be going the whole distance.
There's a swing and a miss from Furman Osio. Game 3, Thomas Harrington versus Cole Harris. Harris, the converted closer, and Harrington, the freshman starter for Campbell. Both teams have manipulated their rotations to sort of work backwards in this series. The top 2 pitchers will go in games 2 and 3. It does make you wonder, given how strong the starting pitching is for Gardner-Webb and Upstate, how that translates to a tournament situation when you need your best in a Game 1 type format, as this ball's popped up to Matt Christian. He records the second out.
It is going to be interesting, and at this point, Campbell pretty much slated to be in that final 4 teams, but really without a bona fide Friday night starter. They don't have an arm that they feel they can run out there night in and night out and is going to win for them. Whereas Gardner-Webb and Upstate have the two horses on the mound that compete every Friday night and are racking up wins. So it will be interesting for Campbell. It's going to be interesting to see how kind of the draw goes and where the teams shape up. And are those two big number ones going to throw game one, or is it something where the coaches may try and save them for later in the series? So it's going to be interesting. But I think, Campbell's advantage is that how many arms they have that compete on a night in and night out basis. And that's largely due to the fact that they don't have a big-time Friday night guy that's really taking that role.
Justin Harris put a few different pitchers in that spot. In fact, 6 different arms have thrown in game 1 of a series, trying to find the right piece. As well, that was a healthy swing and a miss from Grayson Pressler. Ryan Chassie 1 strike away from his second 7-inning outing of the year. Would be unique if Campbell scores the bottom half. It'd be a complete game victory for Chassie.
Which can be interesting. It's a great stat. Pitchers love CGs, but it would be a bit misleading getting a 7-inning complete game.
The 0-2 is swung on and missed. 8 strikeouts for Chassie in 7 dominant innings.
The underdog. The long shot. The nobody from nowhere, never gonna happen in your dreams, kid. 100 to 1 shot. We know something about that. We're with you every step of the way.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, and we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Musco Lighting. We make it happen.
Time for our Hercules Tires strong move of the game. Matt Christian with his 11th home run of the season.
And what a big swing it was. Really changed this game in one swing of the bat, extended the lead, and he's done such a great job of getting all these baseballs this year.
And getting heckled by the party deck out there.
Bunch of excitement on the party deck. It's fun to play left field at Campbell unless you're on the opposing team, but home runs are something they love out there on the party deck.
Second home run of the series for Matt Christian, who now is 1 RBI shy of the Big South lead. 47 ribbies on the year,
which is enough to chalk it up as a good year if that's all he ended up with. I mean, that's how impressive that number is.
Remember, Matt Christian had battled some injuries throughout the year. This is only his 31st game of the season. That's a pace for nearly 70 RBIs over the course of a full regular season.
That's quite a pace.
He leads off this inning after a sac fly in the last frame. Watches ball 1 from the new pitcher, Bryce Fisher. Fisher's had a tough go of it this year. The freshman from Kings Mountain, North Carolina. ERA is climbing the hill at 21. Christian sends a deep shot to left. It's a walk-off home run here in a run rule 7th. Matt Christian has tied Brandon Langford with 12 home runs in the conference, closing out game 2.
What a big swing by Christian. Don't miss over the middle to the big man or he'll deposit it over that left field wall.
That's your final score. Campbell 12, UNC Asheville 2. We will see you in 45 minutes for Game 3. For Cole Hallam, I'm Evan Budrovich signing off from Bowie's Creek. The Camels clinched the series victory with a 12-2 win.